Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick correction. This video is documentation about something that took place, y'all, here at my house. An argument I had with someone in my close circle over a vehicle that I'm borrowing. But then I also start going into detail about some of the things that has occurred during my targeting and some of the negative or adverse reactions I've had that has led to the targeting worsening. So I just go through some of those things that I've talked about in prior videos and defend myself and provide evidence to defend my character, right? At a part in the video, y'all, there's a part where I show you a church that I attended when I was in school in Florida in 2018, prior to me becoming a target. I became a target in 2020. And in the church, I was just showing that the leader of the church was married to her, his girlfriend and child's mother was a mulatto female. She was half black, half white. And when I went to her page, and the reason this matters, y'all, is because it pertains to the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda I shared over 4 years ago, y'all. Reactive abuse. I was angry. I tried to relocate off island when the targeting started blowing up and getting worse, and I was being watched on camera and antagonized, harassed, etc. I didn't know I was a target at the time, y'all. So I didn't even know the thing would follow me. Anyway, if you've listened to my story and my videos, you're familiar with what I'm talking about. Anyway, when I got up to the States, as y'all know, things blew up, and I ended up sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda in my car in Florida for about a month before I ended up coming back to the island I tried to relocate off of. So in this video, I end up, as I'm talking about what took place with this car and the argument that ensued, I start talking about this contentious relationship I have with a family member of mine. And I was just basically saying the issue he has with me has nothing to do with the offensive content I shared. That's not what it is. But that led to me going off on a tangent and talking about the offensive content and that part of my targeting. So that's what led to me talking about the church. And you'll see when you get into the video, y'all. It's well put together and it makes sense. The correction I want to make right now, though, is at that part of the video when you get there, where I'm showing the church that I went to in 2018, I was showing the leader's wife. He has like 2 females that he has children with. And 2 of them, I think, one he's married to now. This female that I'm talking about was his first wife. And she's mulatto. She's half white, half black. So I went to the page just to show you that there were white people in my church. I'm not a prejudiced person. That's one of the things I was using it as an example to show that I'm not prejudiced and also to show that not all Hebrews believe in the offensive content. Anyway, when I went to her page, she was wearing a yellow shirt. And as you all know, they like to use yellow in my specific targeting as an ode to the man from the gym. With the drama with the man from the gym, remember he came in wearing a yellow banana suit, and so they started wearing yellow all over the island. On her page, she's wearing a yellow shirt. And on her page, she's also wearing an orange dress. Also, you're going to see an X, y'all. An X that I'm going to show you in the video that's Caucasian. When I went to his page on Facebook, he's wearing an orange plaid shirt. So it's the AI shadow network at work, y'all. Which is similar to what I showed in this video. The same one. Well, not the same one. You're going to, at the end of the video, you're going to see me mention this video that's now private. If you got a chance to see it, then you got to see another example of how they use the AI shadow network, y'all. That's one of the things they're using to manipulate my Facebook and to create disillusionment. But anyways, I made the video private now, but there are countless different videos where I've shown how this technology works, y'all. But one of the major tactics they're using as subterfuge is this AI shadow network. So making it look like people are wearing things they're not wearing. It's crazy. And it was all a manipulation tactic when I got all these views and likes on certain videos. Another thing they were doing was hitting my head with energy weapons. They took my internet for the whole night. Just all kinds of crazy stuff, y'all. Anyway, so nonetheless, though, when I went to this lady's page to show that she's biracial, she was wearing yellow and orange. And so I made a comment. I said, this is not the program. I said, she's not really wearing that. This is the program. And then I didn't expound on what I meant. I realized I said that and just expected you to know what I was talking about. So just so you know, when you get to that part of the video, that's what I'm talking about. I was talking about the AI shadow network, the technology they use to send subliminal messaging through YouTube, like videos in your recommended having subliminal messaging in it. Or when you're on Facebook or Instagram, it looking like people are wearing sensitizing colors or patterns. They're not really wearing these things. It's AI shadow network. It's a form of technology I've talked about and shown examples of in prior videos, y'all. And when you hear the next clip where I do my intro, you're going to hear me talking about the links in the description box and comment section that shares information about the technology utilized on targets. If you check out those links, you'll see countless, endless videos where I show examples of them using this technology. So it's some high science stuff, y'all. It's not only like AI as far as like nano being inserted in your body and microchipping and brain to computer interface where they can hear your thoughts in real time, y'all, and see your thoughts as clear as day on a computer screen. But then they're also, it's like an all out assault. They're also like hacking your computer system, your phone, anything that's technological, and they can send things with subliminal messaging in it all day long. So it's like MK Ultra programming too, y'all. The thing goes deep. It's like an AI based, all encompassing program. It's an all consuming gridlock program, and it's AI based. Anyways, y'all, so I just wanted to add that in. Just a quick, I guess you could say, precursor. In the next clip, you're going to hear me do my typical intro, and you'll see what the video is about. It's put together well, it's well put together, it's cohesive, etc., etc. All right, peace out, y'all. Y'all, this is documentation of more gang stalk and fuck shit, right? Welcome back to the channel. I don't know if this is not staying public, y'all. Just like the last video I told you, if you got to view it, that I made private, this is not staying public, y'all. So if you do hear it, you're fortunate enough to hear it, then you're hearing more shit that I'm dealing with as a target. But it's not staying up. This is just for documentation purposes. So as you all know, the Jeep that I had last year went bad. It was a very old Jeep. It started having an overheating problem. I took it to my mechanic several times, and this is the mechanic that I've been using for years. He's actually an old family mechanic. The family's been using him for years and years and years. So that's how I have that connection. Prior to trying to relocate off island in 2022, I have 2 cars that I took to him that I had issues with. He was always good to me. He always helped me with my car. The prices were reasonable. He always fixed my car, and the car was working in tip-top condition when I would get the car back. Now, since coming back on island and the targeting going viral and the fanfare and whatever else is going on, it was a different treatment I noticed when I went to him. I'm not trying to talk about him on camera right now, because like it's this issue when I talk about people on camera, and then this person's glaring at me in the darkness, and this next person, but I have to tell you what happened, why I don't have my Jeep. So anyway, it's an old ass Jeep, but it was in decent condition. It was actually refabbed too. It was refabricated. So the guy refabbed it, rebuilt the engine, whatever he did in there, right? It was actually a family of family. So my aunt's husband's brother. I say uncle because he's like an uncle. You know, even though he's not blood to me, that my aunt's husband, he's like an uncle. Like, we grew up with him. We used to sleep over at his house all the time with my cousin. He's basically like my uncle, even though it's not blood. But anyway, his brother sold the car to me, well, to my dad, right? And so that's how I got the vehicle. So anyway, it was a refab Jeep, but still a decent Jeep, you know, even though it was an old school Jeep, but nonetheless a refabbed old Jeep. And so I was riding up and down in the vehicle, and it's not a new car, it's not a newer vehicle. And so something went awry with the water hose. Apparently it was something simple, like the water hose apparently was broken. So simple fix. I took it to the mechanic. I don't know anything about cars. I'm a tomboy, y'all. I dress feminine when I'm ready, right? Like, for instance, when I'm teaching, etc., I dress feminine. But when it comes to going to the gym, it's like this unisex type thing. Like, sometimes I wear shorts and I'm, you know, dressed like a girl chick. Sometimes I wear long pants and I wear a do-rag. It just depends on whatever I feel like. I'm a tomboy, but you wouldn't really know unless you saw me, I guess you could say, doing physical activity. I don't know about cars. I'm not that type of tomboy. I'm really like a girl, like for real. Like, I don't know about cars and mechanical stuff. Like, I can do the basic stuff. I can change a tire. I do know how to change a tire. I do know how to, you know, check the oil to see if my car needs oil. I know how to check to see if it needs water or coolant, that type of stuff, the basics. I don't know how to fix a car. I don't know something as simple as a water hose being broken. I didn't know what that looks like, right? So anyway, the thing was having this overheating problem, and I took it to the mechanic several times. Like, on 3 different occasions, I took it to him to look at it. And every time I brought it to him, he would just kind of do like this half, like he wasn't really looking at it like that. And I remember every time he would like just kind of say whatever, they would ref by in the background, like do ref campaigns in the background. So he wasn't really thoroughly checking it like how he used to, like before I left island when I used to go to him. It was just this different kind of treatment. So anyway, eventually the problem got so bad that the car just like completely shut off on me. I remember this day distinctly because the people that run the program were doing all kinds of stuff with the bird drones and the mosquitoes, etc. when I received the help that I received that day. So I was driving to the mechanic. I was taking it to him because it was something he was saying underneath that needed to change. It was something, I forget what not the timing belt, not something that serious. I forget, I can't remember. I don't know about cars, y'all. It was something at the bottom near where the oil comes out. He was saying needed to change. So I was taking the car to him because the car was driving like shit, and it kept overheating and overheating and overheating. And so while I'm driving it to him, it just like cut off on me completely. And so I remember these guys, I cut off in front of the fish market. I remember these guys that were in there, they came and they pushed my Jeep, put it in neutral, pushed it into the fish market, and they started trying to help me figure out what was going on. So several of the guys were looking in there. One of the guys told me that my water hose is bad. That's why it's overheating so bad. He said the water hose is leaking. The other guy, who apparently was a mechanic, was telling me that the whole engine needed to rebuild and something about the engine gone bad, basically. And I think it was due to overheating. Obviously, it was like a chronic overheating problem. The water hose was bad. So anyway, I took it to the mechanic. I told him what they said. He said, okay, he's going to check it out for himself. He had it for like a month. I was waiting to hear back. He said he has to take out the engine and figure out what's going on. Wait and finally hear back. He basically confirmed what the guy that was the mechanic said, that the engine is gone bad, So it was something as simple as a water hose, though, is what I'm saying. Like, the water hose was bad. If I had known that, I could just fix that and the overheating would have stopped. I could still have my Jeep all now. I'm still not flipping out about it. I'm targeted. All kinds of people are getting involved. Some people don't get involved at all. Some people do. I've experienced different treatment from people I've known my whole life, family, etc. Much less for somebody that's just a mechanic. So, I mean, hey, I'm not flipping out on him. I didn't flip out on him. I didn't explode. I'm just like, okay, this is just par for the course. This is what comes along with this terrible situation that I've been thrown into, right? So, no, I didn't really get mad at him. As upset as I was, I didn't get mad at him. So I just took it to him, and I asked him to rebuild the engine. I told him I would get the parts needed to fix the engine. So slowly but surely, I was ordering the parts for him to fix it. I had paid like $800 and change in parts. And then something happened. I don't remember what it was. I think maybe I made a video like this talking about what happened with my car. I hadn't talked about it on video, but I made a video talking about it. I don't remember why. I think it was another situation like what's happening today where they were trying to take the car. I don't remember what it was. But something happened, I think, that upset him, because then I noticed he told my mom that he couldn't fix it. He's not even sure if he can fix it. And that's not the conversation him and I had when we talked about me ordering the parts and him fixing it. So anyways, I just noticed all of a sudden it was just this conversation like he couldn't fix it all of a sudden. So that was the first time I actually got upset, because despite me having brought it to him several times, and kind of just feeling like I got brushed off, and even hearing Ref Campaign in the background when I got brushed off, and then eventually down the line, it culminating in the problem that it culminated into, I still wasn't upset. I didn't, what I'm saying? And then it's like, now it's like you tell me that, you were working with me, like you're going to fix it. And now you're all of a sudden telling me, after I ordered like $800 and change in parts, telling me that you can't fix it. So just a totally different treatment to what I used to get from him before I left Island. So I remember that was when I finally flipped out, not even on him, more so on my mom on the phone. I didn't flip out on her, but I was just saying, what? I started kind of just crawling about it. So anyway, fortunately, I was able to get my money back for all those parts I ordered. Thank the Most High. And I just sold the Jeep, $4,000 and change Jeep. That's what it was worth after, being refabricated. The guy that sold it to me, he refabbed it, and so apparently the worth went up to that much. How much did I get for it? $300 for it, even though $4,500 was spent for it. By the way, I'm paying my dad back. That's not something that he just gifted me. I'm paying him back. And so that's what's going on with that, y'all. So that's why I don't have my Jeep. So it was basically targeted individual treatment, something simple that could have been fixed, and that's why the Jeep is kaput. I sold it for $300. So my parents have this spare vehicle, right? It was my grandfather's vehicle. He ended up giving it to my dad. My dad now has a truck he's driving. My mom has a brand new car that she's driving. It's a used car, but it's new. It's a newer car. It looks brand new, right? You can't even tell it's used. One of those type of cars like that. The car's just sitting there. This is just like the extra car that they have. Of course, you want to keep it though. You know, if you have an emergency or something like that, you do want the backup vehicle. So I'm driving the vehicle. I'm taking my time with it. I have been putting oil in it. In fact, I'm about to pay for an oil change. I was planning to pay for an oil change when I get paid. My dad said he'll do it for me. But every time I get paid or every other check, I'm adding like 2 bottles of oil in there. I don't play that. I'm making sure to keep gas in the car, etc. Something happens with the trunk now, right? This is just recent. This just happened about maybe a month and a half ago. This is a recent development when this happened. So a month and a half ago, my brother comes to the room, right? He knocks on the door and he says, "Hey, Reef, I need the key. I got to get something out the trunk." I said, "Okay, just take it. It's right there on the dresser." The trunk was closing fine before he did that, you know. He takes the key. He goes in the trunk. I'm not aware of the fact that there's some sort of issue. I have no idea. I don't even know if he knew there was an issue because when I went, it was closed, right? It looked normal. So I start the car and I start driving later on in the day, right? Again, this was about a month and a half ago. Before I could even get off the street, I stopped the car, you know, I'm not going to say it stopped. I stopped it when the thing happened. I stopped it like towards the end of the street that we live on. Before I could even get off the street, I hear the trunk do like this popping sound, and then it just like popped open. So I was like, okay. So I figured it was, you know, from when he went in earlier and he probably just didn't close it good. So I remember parking it and coming out, and what was annoying too was a lot of stuff fell out when it did the popping sound and stuff. A bunch of shit fell out the back, right? Because of, you know, there's a lot of shit in the back of the trunk. So a bunch of stuff fell out into the road from the back of the trunk. So I remember being annoyed, parking the car, having to come out, pick up stuff out the road, put it in the trunk, etc. I put the stuff in the trunk. I'm trying to close the trunk. I notice it's not closing. I push it down again. It's not closing. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So I'm realizing that obviously something went wrong when my brother went in the trunk. Whether he realizes it or not, something he did caused the issue. I was driving the car fine the whole time. There was no issue. I don't go in the trunk. All of a sudden you come that day, you say, "Let me get the key. I need to get something out the trunk." And now I'm driving. I don't even get off the street we live on. And the trunk busts open and a bunch of shit falls out the back. So anyway, it stopped in front of this old elderly lady's house. And I only know who she is because my grandma, right? And so my grandma's best friend, who lives next door, they still own the house. They don't live there anymore, but sometimes they come and visit. I don't really want to talk about that household either because there was kind of some drama with the targeting. Anyway, I try not to talk about people in these videos. But I'm just saying why I know who the other lady is, right? So she sometimes lives there. They live in the States now, but sometimes they come back and visit. They still come and utilize the house. My grandma, however, is no longer alive. Anyway, growing up, though, that was my grandma's best friend right next door, the house to the left of us, the elderly lady that lives there. That was my grandma's best friend. She has the same name as another elderly lady that lives on this street. I think like 2 houses down from her house to the left of her house, something like that. So the only reason I know that lady lives there is because obviously I live on this street. I've seen her come out the house before. And growing up, they used to call her, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I'm only explaining why I said Crazy Teresa. I'm not meaning to say the lady's name. Crazy T. Let me call her that. I don't know her. So I just will have to clear myself, you know, because I get in problems when I say things, but apparently they all call her that. And I think it's like a pet name. I think she knows they call her that. I don't think it's like malicious. I think it's like a pet name. I'm not sure. I don't really know the backstory with it like that. But I know there were 2 people with the T name on this street. My grandma's best friend, who lived directly in the house next door. And then a couple houses down, like I said, this lady that they call Crazy T, who has the same name as my grandma's best friend. So they all know each other. I've seen my grandma's best friend talking with that lady. So I think she knows that they call her that. I think it's like a pet name. I don't think it's like in a malicious way. I think it's some sort of like inside joke they have, I think. But anyway, growing up, that's what they were calling her. So that's what I know her as. So just now I'm on camera. Everybody's seeing that I said this. I wasn't thinking about what I was saying. My sister has even referred to her as that before too, though. When she was talking about her cat going missing, she said something about she saw, not that the lady did anything to her cat, not that, but when she was out looking, she said hi to Crazy T. She said it before too. So, I mean, I don't think it's a malicious thing. Anyway, nonetheless, when I was just having this argument with the person in my close circle who owns the car, who's now trying to take the car to be spiteful because of something that happened just now, I was describing the day when the trunk went bad, when the thing with the trunk started happening. And they all saw it on camera too. Like I said, there's like 5% of being on camera 24/7 that works in my favor. And moments like now, I would say, is that 5%. Or when I feel like I'm not safe, all these people have a problem with me, I would say is the 5% that makes it good that I'm on camera 24/7. 95% of it sucks, but 5% of it works in my favor. And this is one of those moments where it's like, you're just trying to be spiteful. I know you saw on camera what happened with the freaking trunk. So anyways, so the car, so I'm now back to telling y'all what happened with the trunk. But I started explaining away about the name of the lady whose house the car stopped in front of. Because just now, literally right before I started making this video, I was having an argument with someone in my close circle who's trying to be spiteful and take the car. Now, like almost 2 months later, because of something that just took place, and pretending like she's only now noticing the zip ties on the back of the trunk. And I know she saw on camera, like everyone else, what happened. So anyway, just now before I got on cameras on this phone to make the video, y'all, I was arguing with her about what happened and how the car stopped in front of Crazy T's house. So now that I'm telling the story and telling y'all what happened the day the trunk, stopped closing, I'm explaining why I called her Crazy T, because I don't want to make more enemies. I'm just saying I grew up and that's what they were calling her. I don't think it's malicious. I think it's like a pet name. I don't know the backstory. I do not know her. So I'm not, I don't want problems with more. I already have problems with people up and down in the neighborhood and everywhere. Like, I don't know her. I was just having an argument with my mom, and I happened to know that her name is, that's what they were referring to her as. And I was just explaining to my mom when I was arguing with her just now that the day that the trunk went bad, the car stopped in front of her house. And she came out in a yellow dress, in ode to the man from the gym, I guess, or the program. And she asked me if I needed help. And I said, no, I was respectful. I said, no, thank you. And I just picked the stuff up out the road, put it in the trunk, tried to close it. It kept popping open. I ended up driving to the end of, out of the neighborhood, not out of the neighborhood, right to the road where you're going to get out of the neighborhood. And I remember parking the car and taking some old rags and tying it closed because it would not close. And that was where I texted my brother immediately, and I started asking him what happened. I said, did something happen when you went in the trunk? He took forever to answer. So I ended up driving down to Home Depot, and I purchased zip ties, and I tied the trunk closed as best as I could. And so eventually, while I'm driving down the road, he answers my text, and he was being rude too, as usual, being kind of rude, and telling me, no, he just went in the trunk. Did I do something? Did I hit the thing? I said, no, you know full well I didn't hit it. Everybody's watching me on camera. You know full well I didn't hit it. So anyway, I said, no, I didn't hit it. I said it, as a matter of fact, before I could even leave the street that we live on, the thing popped open. So it had to be when you went in the trunk. And it's similar to what I was telling my mom. It stopped in front of, I'm actually so glad she came outside, even if it was gang stalking. That kind of worked in my favor. That little that little, what's the word I'm looking for? That minor little detail happened because everyone saw that on camera. So she came out in the yellow dress when the trunk bust open and all the stuff fell out. And she asked me if I needed help. I said, no, thank you. I said, no, thank you. Thanks. I just picked the stuff up. I threw it in the trunk and I hopped into the freaking car and I drove, like I was going to leave the neighborhood. But then it kept popping open. So I had to find some cloth inside the car and try to tie it closed. Then I went straight to Home Depot and I bought the zip ties. So the zip ties have been on the vehicle for almost 2 months now. That was almost like a month and a half ago. About a month and a half ago when that happened. Two months to a month and a half ago. I know my mom has seen it, and I know she saw on camera everything that took place too. Well, I'm not meaning to say relationships, y'all. The person in my close circle that's being spiteful. This is what they used to do before when I didn't have a car too. It was like this thing where the buses wouldn't stop for me. The taxis wouldn't stop. They knew I was struggling to get transportation. I tried to order a scooter. They sent me a lemon scooter. I tried to order one of those bikes, that has the motor in it from Walmart. They started doing the AI shadow networking with the app and everything was saying not available. So I had absolutely no transportation. And they kept doing stuff with the car, spiteful stuff with the car. So now I'm actually saving up to get a car, y'all. I'm not doing too good with the savings. Things have come up where I had to spend money. But I spoke to the guy that I bought 2 of my vehicles from before relocating off island, or trying to relocate off island, when I was still a teacher and when I was still doing security and I had 2 jobs. I bought 2 cars from him and I paid them off in full, out of pocket. One was, I think, $12,000 and change, and the next one was like $7,000 or $8,000 and change. 2 decent, good quality cars, used cars that I bought from him, and I paid them off in full. The last car I bought from him looked brand new. You wouldn't even know it was a used car. Similar to the car my mom's driving now. Not the same kind of car, but that kind of quality. Anyway, so I paid those off in full, so he knows I'm reliable. But at the same time, he's telling me I need at least I think he told me $3,000 to $3,500 down payment. And that's how he's always been. He always says that. And the reason is because he doesn't check credit. You know, so it's not like he's going to check your credit. You could come with any kind of credit to him. But he's not trying to have some big, long payment with you. You know, he wants you to pay a good, significant chunk of the car off before you get into the payments with him. So anyway, he knows I'm reliable, despite whatever the perception of me now is, since blowing up and acting like a monster in reaction to abuse, etc. Just talking business, he knows I'm reliable. So he told me he'll sell a car to me if I could get $3,000 or $3,500. So that's what I'm saving for. So in the meantime, I'm using this car for the people in my close circle. They have vehicles. I'm making sure there's oil in the car. I'm actually about to pay for an oil change. I just put 2 tires on the car. Now, because of something that just happened just now, all of a sudden, the person in my close circle calling me, acting like she's just noticing the zip ties and what happened to doing the thing where she doesn't listen to you when you're talking. What happened? Why are the zip ties? I'm explaining to her. I know she already knows what happened, by the way. I'm explaining to her it was when my brother went into the trunk about a month or a month and a half ago. And I said the day he went in the trunk, that's when the issue happened. And so I started telling her what happened that day. And as soon as I went in the car later, in the day after he had went in the trunk, I couldn't even get off the street. The car in front of Crazy T's house, the thing bust open and all the stuff started falling out. I actually had to park in the street and start picking the shit up and putting it in the trunk. And I'm telling the person in my close circle this on the phone when she called just now, right? Being spiteful. And I said she even asked me if I needed help. She came out in a yellow dress. She said, yeah, but the bottom is looking like it was hit. The bumper is looking like it. I'm like, you are watching me on camera. You know I didn't hit your car. You know full well I didn't hit your car. There's only one incident that happened where the car had something and it was in the front of the car, not the back. And it was where I had pushed myself out in the road by Sunny Owls, by the shopping center, y'all. Because the traffic was just laid thick and they were not stopping. So I pushed myself out in this way where I was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. But it was kind of like forcing myself to get a break. I see people do it all the time. It just happened to me on the highway. I did a low curl about it. But I didn't drive around like I'm going to hit the person like a nutcase. Anyway, so I pushed myself out in this kind of way where I was blocking that side of the traffic. So they were like kind of forced to give me a break. I've seen other cars do this before too. So anyway, while I did that, I'm waiting for the other side to clear. I then drive to go once the other side cleared. This car instead drives around me because I'm blocking the road. They drove around me into the other side of the road and kind of clipped the very front of the car, like kind of slid. It wasn't barely even touched. It was just like the slide. It just slid a little bit across the front left corner of the car. This was long after the trunk was already fucked up. It barely touched, so I didn't even stop. I kind of just stopped. I looked back and I just kept going. It just barely touched. But in my head, I was just like, are you crazy? Like, I understand I did strip in his hair. Like, I forced you to give me a break. But you're so, like, bad mind, you're going to drive all the way around and hit my car? Like, that just literally happened to me on the highway where someone did the same thing. They kind of pushed himself out in this way where the whole road was blocked. I'm like, they're doing strippiness. I crawled a little bit and I waited. Or you drive around in a way where you're not going to hit the person. Jesus Christ. Anyway, so they slid and they touched the front. It was like the front left part of the bumper of the front of the car. And this was long after the trunk thing happened. The zip ties were already there in the back. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about what the bumper looked like. You're watching me on camera. They're all watching me. When did I hit the back of the bumper? Remember, you have me on camera being tortured 24/7? That's the negative part of it. You can't pretend like I'm doing stuff I'm not doing. Or the positive part of it, for me at least. When did I hit the back of the car? They're all watching. When did that happen? You don't think it would have been a big fanfare on Island? This is a big show for everyone. So anyways, so the trunk got fucked up the day my brother went in the trunk to get whatever he went to get. And when I was leaving, I couldn't even get off the street. The thing bust open and all the stuff fell out. And so I texted him and he eventually answered me later on in the day and was saying stupid bullshit. Are you sure you didn't hit the car? I'm like, hit the car? I'm on camera. I didn't tell him that, but I'm out loud, I'm crawling about it. I'm like, hit the car. Y'all are watching me. You know full fucking well I didn't hit the car. Anyway, so he was just answering me rude, and I just started ignoring him, and I just said I was going to keep the text for evidence if anything like this shit, like what's happening now, happened. You know, I kept the text, and literally like 2 days ago, I deleted that shit. I deleted all of my group chats because I'm out of storage on my phone. I just deleted those texts. I actually forgot that was in there. I deleted the text string between him and I deleted the group chats. I deleted all of that so I could have space on my phone. And I deleted pictures too. Now, literally like a couple days later, this bullshit is happening, and I went straight to the text. I was about to jam the text and send it. And I realized, oh my God, I deleted the text a couple days ago. They all saw on camera what happened. I don't care who's subjective or who has a problem with me or not. The point is, you saw on camera. I know you know full well why that's happening with the trunk. So anyways, so let me tell you why she's being spiteful though, the person in my close circle. So apparently earlier, the same brother, I was about to try to speak in codes, y'all, but I'm going to say the relationship. I don't say relationships in these videos. I'm not keeping this video up. So if you hear it, right? It's not staying up, so I don't mind specifying relationships. I'm not keeping the video up. This brother that I have this contentious relationship with, right? Actually, I have a contentious relationship with most of the people in my family now due to the targeting. You know, you would swear I did something to them with the way the way they treat me, when it's actually them who actually threw me in this program over a text message 6 years ago. I'm being tortured ruthlessly on camera 24/7. They're not lifting a finger to help. In fact, they're participating a lot of the time. You would swear I'm the one that's doing stuff to them, right? With the way they act with me, some of them, right? But anyway, so nonetheless, this brother has this big issue with me. Prior to the targeting 6 years ago, him and I were actually cool. Nobody would believe that with the relationship you're seeing on camera, with what people are seeing on camera. Nobody knows the real me or the real us or my family or what was before the targeting. These people are just tuning in. It's a show for them to sitting back on the ass, eating popcorn and watching what's going on. They don't know us or what we were before the targeting. That's a reason why I thought witchcraft was done. This is not the family I grew up in, and this is not the relationships we had. The roommate that I had in college that I thought did witchcraft or whatever, I thought, right? I was saying I suspect. I didn't accuse her. She used to say that I had a nuclear family because of how close we were. Anyway, nonetheless, this brother has like this big issue with me now. I don't know what the fucking issue is really. He has this big, rotten, nasty issue with me, right? And in the old neighborhood when the targeting first started, him and the other brother, I have 2 younger brothers. They're both younger than me. One's 8 years younger, one's 10 years younger. This is the one that's 8 years younger than me. He has like this big issue with me. And in the old neighborhood, it used to be him and the other brother and my dad, really, that were doing major noise campaigns on me, all kinds of stuff. Then they were linking up with the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy's family. And all kinds of gang stalking stuff was going on in that neighborhood before I tried to relocate off island. Anyway, I'm not trying to go into the details about that, y'all. I've talked about this in prior videos. I'm just trying to give you the history of contention and when things got nasty between this brother and I, right? So in that old neighborhood, he used to do all kinds of noise campaigns, and I used to be so annoyed with him, and I used to be saying whatever out the side of my neck, similar to what I was saying about my dad. And I used to be just reacting out of anger and saying stuff. Similar to what happened with the white people thing, where I tried to relocate and I sat in my car and I shared offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda over 4 years ago. It's been reactive abuse. I say stuff, I get angry. And then people get big and blue and mad, and it's like they just totally negate what the cause was. It's just like a bitch. Like I just sat there and I was being a bitch and you weren't abusing me. Not saying white people in general, because I was wrong. That was like a generalization. You know, I dealt with some racial stuff in Indiana. To come for a whole race of people was stupid and ignorant. I already admit that, right? But specifically with my family members, where you are specifically the person doing stuff. And now I'm saying stuff in reaction. Now you're holding anger and grudge for years and years and years and years? Over a text I sent. It was an innocent text from a misunderstanding. How could it lead to this, where you put me in some fucking satanic program for 6 years where I'm on camera being tortured sadistically nonstop? And then you're acting like I'm doing shit to you. So he does mean stuff. He's very mean and like horrible. I can't even believe he's like that. I mean, we always knew he was kind of spiteful, though, to be honest. Growing up in the house, even when we were close, we always used to say he was spiteful. And whenever he was mad, he would do spiteful stuff. We would just laugh at it. He is really like something else sometimes, I'm telling you. So anyway, now that we're in the new house and it's now like year 6 of my targeting, things had started to get a little bit better. It wasn't as bad as it was in the old neighborhood where he was really bad. Him, my dad, my other brother, like the three of them were terrible. But specifically my dad and that older brother. He's not older than me, but he's the oldest younger brother. Like, they used to be real horrible in the old house. In the old neighborhood, it was real bad. Things had gotten significantly better. But I noticed like in the, I want to say the last year, especially when this thing with the man from the gym started happening and stuff, I don't know what it is. It's just weird to me. I'm not really sure what it is with these men and why they make connections with these men that I have these beefs with. Like, it just reminds me of the guy from the old neighborhood, the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy and his family. Like, they take in these men, and with the man from the gym, they didn't even really, they didn't even, there's no connection there. At least in the old neighborhood, it seemed like my dad befriended the man's dad, the cyberstalking, bullying guy's dad. But it's like they take on these beefs with these people, these random entities over their family member. I don't know, y'all. It's just weird. It's just the stuff they've done as far as the gang stalking goes in that situation in the old gym. It's just weird to me. You gotta use the word that the man's girlfriend used, weird. The whole thing seems like an out-of-body experience that's been going on for years. I'm no longer surprised. Like, when they first started doing whatever they were doing to me, I was so hurt over it. Now I'm so desensitized not to gaslight and call me cold. Like, it's been years of you doing whatever. It's not shocking to me anymore. And it's not like, oh, how could they do this to me? It's more like, okay, more shit. When am I going to get the fuck up out of this? And get away from this? So anyway, nonetheless, he has this big issue with me. And he'd be doing noise campaigns for horrible stuff. Horrible stuff. He just recently was trying to get it. When I say recently, like months ago, y'all. At this point now, this was like 8 months ago or something like that. Or maybe 6 months ago, something like that. He was trying to get a job at the airport. He actually has the degree. There's 5 of us, right? There's my older sister. There's me, I'm the second oldest. There's my younger sister, she's the third oldest. There's this brother I'm talking about, he's the fourth. And there's the baby, my youngest brother. So there's 2 boys and 3 girls. 3 of us have a degree. I have a degree, my younger sister has a degree, and this brother I'm talking about has a degree. Those 2 followed me. I went to the same school that my mother graduated from, the same college. I decided I wanted to go there when I went to continue on my education years later after taking like a hiatus from school. I already explained what happened with that, y'all. I'm not about to talk about it again. So I paid my way back into school and I went back to school, and those 2 followed me and came to that school. So they got their degree. They both did. He has a degree in, I think it's cybersecurity. My younger sister got a degree in business. Or accounting. I think she switched to accounting. She switched to... No, it's business. Finance. Finance. She was in accounting. She didn't like it. She switched to finance. I got my degree in English. So we all have our degree. I, for the longest time before the targeting, have been in and out of the education system. I've been a substitute teacher. I've been a paraprofessional. I've been an actual teacher. My younger sister hopped into some sort of internship program that progressed into her getting into the position she's in now. So she's doing something in accounting. He's the only one with like a degree, and it's a decent degree too, cybersecurity. If you actually utilize it the right way, the tech industry is like the #1 moneymaker in the world right now. Everything is tech. This is the technological age. That's why when I came back on island in 2022, after the targeting went viral, I didn't think it would be possible for me to teach again, at least not that soon. So I remember I started trying to look at ways that I could make money from home, like a lot of money. And I started looking into tech. I'm good with computers. I'm computer savvy. So I started trying to teach myself tech and coding language. That's money. Like, most people that are in the tech industry are making 6 figures. That's real money if you learn how to utilize it. You have a whole cybersecurity degree. You're not doing anything with it. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with working security. I've done it for years as like supplemental income. There's nothing wrong with doing that. Or if you want to do it for a living, you can if it works for you. But I'm just saying, it's like he's not even, like, what did you go to school for? I think that's why he's unhappy. I don't know. I feel like that's what it is. I don't know what his issue is with me. Like, he has like this big, huge issue with me, and he does mean, horrible, spiteful stuff. And because these people have a problem with me, they'll see what's going on. And they're so subjective. It just reminds me of what's happened with the man from the gym. It's just the same shit. Different cast, same script, different cast. They're seeing the spiteful stuff he does. And they totally turn a blind ear to it. But the moment they think I'm doing something, they're ready to jump down my throat. It's just like freaky and creepy and scary to me, and I'm stuck. Anyway, y'all, so I just keep throwing stuff at him about why he's doing what he's doing, because for years he's been doing horrible stuff. Even when I was teaching in the old house and I was teaching virtually, him and my dad used to do noise campaigns on me sometimes. Not while I was teaching, but I'm just saying, like, weird stuff, man. Like, I don't know. I just started to feel like maybe that's what it is. Like, you couldn't make it, like, the bag with your degree. Like, why couldn't you figure it out? And even if you couldn't figure it out, I'm not judging you for that. There are people who can't figure it out and take years to figure out what they want to do. Some people make money with no degree. It doesn't matter, but I'm just trying to speculate what his issue with me is. I don't know what the problem is. So that's why I keep saying that. He has, like, this big issue with me. He does noise campaigns for horrible stuff. So anyway, and it's not the way people think. Trust and believe me, that's not it. So anyway, sorry, y'all, I'm tired. Every day I feel like I'm making a video trying to fight some different battle, some different fire. Like, every day they're attacking me and I'm on camera, and then it's some next unfair shit that's happening that I have to fight for. So anyway, even my mom's seeing what's going on. She keeps pretending like I'm the one with the issue with him. When she sees it, everybody's seeing it. The noise campaign seem to be doing. That's why I always make comments about it. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, what the hell? I'm always making. They're hearing the noise. Sometimes they get involved in the neighborhood when it's happening. And I'm pretending like it's me. So anyway, so he's been doing stuff off and on, and it got better. Like, in recent years, it got better, but I would say, like, in the last year, especially since the thing with the man in the gym started happening, I noticed things started getting kind of gnarly with him and my dad again. So anyway, we live in the same house together. It's like he lives here with my parents. I live with my parents due to targeting. My younger sister lives here still, even though she has a degree and a decent job. My dad obviously lives here. My mom, my parents, right? My youngest brother is in school still trying to get his degree. My older sister is married in the States, in Florida, with children. So anyway, I'm here due to targeting. Prior to trying to relocate off island, I had an apartment and I had a car. I was dealing with gang stalking and torturing in the apartment. They recorded me having, excuse me, I talked about this in recent videos, y'all, excuse the candor, but this is what happened. They recorded me having sexual intercourse, one encounter, a very short and lame, brief encounter with a bitter ex of mine when I was in the apartment. This was before I tried to relocate off island, before I shared the offensive content about white people. This is the type of stuff that we're doing. It's not about that stuff. So anyways, sorry, y'all, I'm tired. I'm just tired of doing this every day. I'm so tired. So anyway, that's why I'm living here with my parents, though. It's due to targeting. Just understand that. They only now just offered me, like, a job teaching. Like, y'all know this just recently happened, so it hasn't started yet. I'm still doing security, and, you know, this is where I'm at. I'm still trying to save to get a car and stuff. Anyway, so we're all living as grown adults in this space, and that wouldn't be a problem if I weren't being targeted, stared at on camera, and antagonized. Anyway, so I noticed over the course of the last year, things kind of amped up with him a little bit, and my dad. So he does these noise campaigns where, like, sometimes, like, for spiteful things or mean things, he'll be doing noise campaigns in the background. Like, one time, for example, y'all, like, when the injury happened about 4 months ago in the new gym, where, like, stuff was hanging down, right? Remember I told you I didn't know if I had organ prolapse or a hernia. Apparently it was neither. Thank the Most High. I didn't know what it was. To this day, I still don't know what it was. Somehow I healed it, thank God. But there was this big bulge in my, excuse again the candor, y'all, my vaginal area. Like, you know, the top of the vagina, there was, like, this big, huge bulge. It looked like a hernia or something. And then my sides by the oblique area kind of looked bulgy too. Come to find out, I think those are just oblique muscles. But the big bulge down by my vagina, I don't know what that was. Actually, still now, even though I've reversed whatever I reversed, when I'm holding pee in, I still notice that the right side, by the bladder area, right above the vagina area, excuse the TMI, y'all, I do notice that it looks a little bit, like, poofy a little bit, that right side, just a little bit whenever I need to pee and my bladder's super full. But other than that, like, that big, huge, bulging, whatever that was on top of my vagina, it's completely gone now. So whatever it was, somehow I reversed it with the fasting, the fruit fasting, taking the collagen, doing the pelvic exercises, etc. It might have just been like a really bad injury and fluid accumulation and swelling. I don't know. Maybe the bladder dropped temporarily and went back up. I don't know, y'all. I still don't know. It's like a miracle to me that I was able to deal with that, with what's happening. It was very scary dealing with that with the level of targeting that I'm at. Very scary. Anyway, so and y'all, just to clarify, the reason I said, trust me, it's not about white people with him is because he's not like some pro, like what you think. It's really not. Just the other day, I was taking a ride in his car and he was listening to a song I wouldn't even listen to, where it said the C word in it. I even was like, what? So this one, I'm like, I'm just telling you, it's not about that. Like, he already knows about whatever the stuff was that I shared. It's not like we subscribe to it, but these are information that we learned eons ago. It's not something that we were projecting or sharing, but we learned those offensive ideologies like eons ago when I was in high school. My dad came home and just started laying everything out. And initially what he started telling us basically were just that we were the Hebrews, because he was Rasta. He was Rastafari. My mom was a Christian, whatever. Then when we were in high school, he started coming with this Hebrew Israelite thing. And he said his friend showed him. And so he started telling us certain stuff and we're just listening like, okay, cool. Like, this sounds cool, whatever. Right? And he starts showing us certain stuff in the Bible, like, you know, we're the true Jews, whatever. We're just like, okay, half we're listening, because my dad's always coming with stuff. He's always, like, coming with different stuff. Like, he likes to read a lot of stuff and he comes with different stuff, but for the most part, it's been Rastafari stuff. So this was kind of different, but it's still, like, just another thing my dad's bringing into the house. So anyway, we were okay and stuff. Everything was cool and still until later on down the line where he found out more information. I don't know where he got it from, the offensive ideology that he learned. And he came home and taught us that and started saying, look, this might be the case. And of course, at first there was like uproar in the house. We were like, look at how they're trying to like they're trying to warn me. You're not going to shut me up because I'm getting all this backlash and stuff. You're not going to shut me up. That's one thing you're not going to do with your hypocrisy. So anyways, so he's, starts telling us, look, this, I learned this now, whatever. And again, y'all, there are different denominations of Hebrew. To this day, there are debates in the Hebrew community about that specific ideology that I shared out of anger. To this day, there are debates. He has friends right now who are Hebrew who don't believe in that stuff. And then he has ones that do. The ones that taught him. I'm telling you. So a lot of the people that are getting involved, it's not about the white people thing. Trust me, it's more so about me and having a personal issue with me. So anyway, he didn't bring that stuff to us initially, though. Initially, just what he brought home was just telling us that we were the true Jews. So we're just listening like, okay, this, and then he starts showing like certain verses and trying to like whatever, right? So at first, it didn't seem like anything crazy or out of the ordinary. So it was just like, okay, cool, we're the real Jews, and you're showing us this Bible verse. Okay, that kind of makes sense. Okay, cool. Then later on down the line, he comes with the other stuff that he learned, right? He started learning from certain friends, right? Again, debates happen, and there's friends right now who were debating those other friends about that specific one thing. I would say out of all of the things in the Hebrew community that people debate, there are several debates, by the way. That's why I said there are denominations. I just saw a post my sister posted about it. Let me show you. Before I continue, like, it's true. It's just like Christianity. You have different denominations of Christianity, and that's just how it is with every religion. You have different sects and denominations because the belief system varies. She posts all the time though, so it's like I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to find that post right now, y'all. She posts like damn near all day, every day. Here it is. Oh, shockingly, it was not that far down. Anyway, so this girl apparently is Hebrew. Not to put her face on my camera. I'm not trying to, create stuff for people. But she said, I'm not a black Hebrew Israelite. Being an Israelite is not a single unified religion, but rather a nationality and identity that encompasses, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, y'all, I'm nervous when it comes to this Hebrew Israelite stuff, encompasses a broad range of groups with shared beliefs regarding ancestry and biblical identity. However, teachings, practices, and behaviors can vary greatly depending on the specific organization or community, similar to the differences seen among religious denominations. That's what I've been saying. And she said, please do not associate me with anything hateful. Judge by my fruits. And she said Matthew 7:15 through 20. So some Hebrews, I'm not even subscribing to that Hebrew Israelite thing anymore, y'all. Like, after I went through what I don't know if God's trying to tell me something, but after I went through what I went through, even just the whole identity of Hebrew, forget the offensive stuff. I don't even want to associate with that, to be honest with you. I believe in the Bible, I believe in God, that's about it. I don't have a religion at this point, and I don't have an identity of. I'm not identifying as Hebrew after what I went through. I'm damn sure not. I believe in God, and I believe in the Bible. That's as good as it gets. And I'm going to follow the commandments. That's as good as it gets. But nonetheless, whatever the case is, so some Hebrews out there just believe that, like, we're the true, like, African Americans are the true Jews based on some Bible verses. Some of them do not believe the other stuff. Like, there are big, like, cantankerous debates in that community. You have white Hebrew Israelites. I keep saying this. In the church that my sisters and I were attending in Florida when I was in school getting my degree, the pastor for the church, his second wife, her name was Saparia. She was mulatto. She was half white, half black. Her eyes were green. I could go to her page right now, but I don't want to put these people's shit on my... You know, I try not to... I just want to prove what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just got angry and I shared offensive stuff. I could prove... There was an actual full white Hebrew when I was in Tallahassee years ago. That was like over a decade ago now. This lady I'm talking about in the church I was going to recently when I was in school getting my degree, this was in 2018, 2017. Over a decade ago when we lived in Tallahassee, not South Florida, Tallahassee, when I went to school for the first time, there was a Hebrew Israelite church that had white people in it. The guy had green eyes. He was like a complete white guy and he had a black girlfriend from Africa. So you have white Hebrew Israelites. Anyway, nonetheless, I unadded all these people when the scandal started happening. So I don't know... I unadded all of these people. Like, I unadded the people that I went to private school with that are white or, you know, diverse, whatever. And I unadded the Hebrew people too, even the people that weren't necessarily affiliated with offensive stuff. I don't want to put this girl's thing on my page, man. I hate to do this because my shit is so viral, but I'm just trying to prove my point, man. She was one of the wives of, this is not her being a part of the program. This is either AI shadow network or a coincidence. She was the wife, one of the wives, or I think his second wife or his baby mama of, and she has a son, a daughter with him too, of the guy that was teaching in the church that we were actually attending in Florida. So she's half white, half black. She's mulatto. Anyway, so yeah. Enough of that. So it varies, man. It just depends on what denomination you or what group you're a part of. You have groups that are like full throttle believing the offensive stuff that I shared. And then you have groups that don't. You have groups that have white people in their church, and it's just like that one verse. I think it's Matthew 3:16. Like, that verse is utilized all the time, that he came to save the world. So you have this big debate, and it's like that one verse, you know, this is just like slam that verse there, and it's like, then those ones that believe in the offensive content, they try, then they go back into that, higher up into that page, I guess, and they talk about the fact that he referred to different nations as worlds, and so he came to save this, the Hebrew world, or, I forget, I don't want to say stupidness and make an ass of myself. This is what the biggest problem with me is. This is what my biggest issue has been. Is not knowing the Bible 100% and sharing stuff out of anger. That's not what my intention was. I truly was believing what I believed back then. I truly felt like we were Hebrew. I'm not a liar. I'm an honest person. I truly felt like we were the true Jews just based off stuff I was taught in high school and stuff that my family and I subscribed to from high school when my dad brought stuff home and taught it to us. I did believe that African Americans were the true Jews. As far as the other stuff, like white people, that was never something that sat right with me. It never made sense to me. That one explanation about Matthew 3:16, I didn't understand it fully. So that's a big debate, right? And what's funny is the thing with the red eyes next door is going, but his best friend, my dad, brought that stuff home when I was in high school. So this is what I'm talking about where I say it's something specific with me. It's not about that content. It's about me and something specific with me. Understand that, the complex that some of these people are having. It's like some sort of like spiritual thing that's going on. I keep saying it. So anyways, nonetheless though, I'm not meaning to go into this stuff. This is like a can of worms, and you know, it's horrible. It's just like I'm trying to get away from this shit, and it's like it just on and on and on. It's just this like relenting. It's almost like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I've said before about it? It's like I can't, my brain's going blank, y'all, but basically where it's like you're only angry at this one person who shared the content 4 years ago as a reaction, but you have people who full throttle really believe in that stuff and who share it every day and you don't have an issue with. It's not about that. You're full of shit. Him just doing that right as I was trying to say whatever, and probably sounding stupid because I don't know the Bible well enough, and that's what the problem is. But nonetheless, him doing that when your best friend, my dad or whatever, right, who he's pretending he's doing this for, I think he has a complex, he's weird. But anyways, brought this stuff home in high school. So you're going to my dad? So anyways, so my grandmother, my mom's mom, like, she would be a part of that offensive ideology. Like, she would be categorized in that offensive ideology in a negative way. Like, what they were teaching, the negative part of whatever they were teaching as white people, as it pertains to white people, my grandmother would have been classified in a negative way. So my mom's mom, her dad was half white, half black. In fact, I don't think it was just straight half black. He was half white. His dad was a white man from Ireland, and his mom was Indian and black. And then her mom was Indian and black. So she was really mixed up. And that's what she looked like, that too. You couldn't even tell what my grandma was really. One minute she looked like she was the classic definition of racially ambiguous if you saw my grandma in real life. And my Uncle Paul, etc. So I remember last night they were sending some bullshit about the white people thing, right? And they were saying that anybody can say they have white in them. I'm like, I know you did your research. But the way these people operate with this program, with the X's that they found that I mentioned briefly, and I'm like, how the hell did, and I see the X reaching out to me. I'm like, how did they reach this person? And this person has no ties to the Virgin Islands. And I didn't give them the last name either. They are finding people from deep within way back in my past that I didn't even say the full name of. Either they're going through my family members and getting the tea, or they're digging and doing their research with the resources and the reach that they have. So I know for a fact they already verified what I said about the white people thing. Plus, why would I say that on camera with all of my family watching? They would have already said she's lying. Why would I do that? So they were just trying to be antagonizing with the technology, and they sent some bullshit last night, but anybody can say that they have. And because what happened was, it was like this show with this white guy, and he was trying to date this girl that's mulatto, and her dad's black, and the dad was giving him a hard time. So he was trying to be down, I guess, like, prove. I don't know if he felt like the reason the dad was giving him a hard time was because he was white. That wasn't why. The dad was just anal and a stickler and didn't want her dating. Anyway, he started trying to prove that he had black in his family. So he went and he brought, like, this little black boy to the dad. And he said, yo, this is my brother. He said, my mom adopted him, or whatever he was saying, man. Trying to date the girl. And so they made this comment that he had the army shirt on, and they said any asshole can say that they have black in them, or can claim that they have whatever. And I knew it was Shadow Network, and he had the army shirt on and stuff. So again, I start trying to prove it, and I'm like, I know these people are already verified what I said is true, though. With the reach they have and the stuff that they've done, the exes that they found when I didn't even say last names, shit, even the bitter ex, they just saw him on camera. They obviously reached out to him too. With the reach they have, I know they verified what I said is true. The Fair last name is a big name down here. That's an old Crucian family down here. It has ties to Ireland, apparently. So anyway, let me show you again, y'all. I couldn't find the picture. My uncle had like this family group for that family, and not all the Fairs are connected. And I keep trying not to say people's last name either, y'all, because not too many people are trying to associate with me right now with the level of targeting that I'm at. But that's a common thing down here, that last name. It's like an old Crucian family. And it's not spelled Fair, F-E-A-R. It's spelled P-H-A-I-R-E. It's a unique last name, and it's a Crucian family. And it has ties to Ireland. So anyway, let me show you this first. Let me just show you the origin of the name. Yes, Fair is considered an Irish surname, though its origins are tied to English and Scottish settlers who arrived in Ireland centuries ago. So I can at least prove to you that my grandma's last name is Fair, right? Let's go look at it. And then I can show you some of the Fairs and what they look like. Most of them look mulatto or racially ambiguous, kind of similar to how my grandma looked. A lot of them have that look. My uncle created this group eons ago, the Fair family of U.S. Virgin Islands, right? He actually had, from what I can recall, a picture of the Irish grandfather, the great-great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather that was an Irish white man from Ireland. He had a picture in here somewhere, I don't know, I can't find it. I was trying to dig for it last night when they sent that bullshit with the technology to prove my point. All of a sudden, I can't find the picture. So anyway, I can still show you what these people look like, though. Like, a lot of them look like this lady, right? But anyway, there was something else. This is him. This is not the white man from Ireland. This is his son. So this is my great-grandfather. My mom's grandpa. My grandma's dad. Despite whatever you can see from this picture, because it's black and white, so you can't really see how light he is. He really, to the naked eye, would just look like a black man. He's very light-skinned, fair-skinned, like his last name, Fair. His mom was a dark-skinned Indian woman. Indian and black, I think. And his dad was a white man from Ireland. He's mulatto. This is my mom's grandpa. Or my grandma's dad. Anyway, this is one of them, right? Seeing how he looks, right? But there's another one. Uncle Paul is who I wanted to show. I was looking at Uncle Paul. That's just my uncle, and he was in the Air Force. I was looking for Uncle Paul. This is how they look. They all look like Santo Domingo, like they're from the Dominican Republic or something. Like a lot of them have, like they look racially ambiguous. A lot of them. Anyway, that's Uncle Paul, but that's not even a good picture. I want to show a better picture. That's my grandma's sister, by the way. Anyway, I'm looking for Uncle Paul, right? That's not even a good picture still. There was another one I saw where I was like, whoa, okay, this shows it. That's my grandma. See the last name Fair. So we saw that it has an Ireland origin, right? It's of Irish origin. You see the Fair? This is my grandma when she was younger. Okay? Anyway, oh, my knee's hurting me. Oh, that's just my cousins. They're my other cousin. I don't want to put people's face. She's from this island. She's family too, but I'm sure she ain't trying to claim me. So I'm trying to move real quick through this thing. Anyway, this is Uncle Paul again. Okay? My grandma's brother. I just want you to see colored pictures. Because all these blurred out black and white pictures, you can't really see what's going on. Anyway, let me show another Fair. I was friends with this Fair and I unadded her. And I unadded a lot of them when I came back on island because the thing was viral and I shared offensive stuff and I felt bad. I unadded people from private school too. Like there's a lot of people I unadded when I came back on island. Here's another one. I was friends with her. I unadded her, right? I hate to put these people on camera, right? That's her friend. This is her. Okay? What do you think the mix is? You think it's Spanish? So this is my family. I unadded her because I felt bad about the stuff I shared. She was really pretty back in the day. Okay? But yeah, that's my family. So, I don't have a problem with white people. I have white in me. I wasn't just saying that. I mean, most people do, actually, to be honest with you. It's like this big melting pot of whatever in this day and age, especially, I would say, in America, right? Most of us have stuff in us. I think white people have stuff in them, most black people have stuff in them, but not that close. You might, like, back could find something. Like, it's real close for me. I'm telling you, my grandma looked white. I'm telling you. So anyway, we grew up diverse. We grew up going to private school. A lot of my best friends when I was younger was white. I grew up with white family members. I wasn't a prejudiced person. It's like my dad came out of nowhere when we were in high school and he brought this thing home and he taught us, and a lot of it did seem to make sense, like where he was showing us the verses about how we're the true Jews, Africa. I'm just being honest. I'm not a liar. I'm telling you what happened. So he was showing us Bible verses showing how we are the true Jews, and it made sense to us. Then when he came later on, because he didn't come with the offensive stuff right away, you know. He came just strictly with the African Americans are the true Jews. Here's the verse in Deuteronomy that proves it. And it's something talking about the slave trade. And how this, I'm just trying to explain why it made sense to us. There's some sort of verse in Deuteronomy that's talking about the slave trade. It seems to describe the African American slave trade. This verse in Deuteronomy that describes the true Jews or the Israelites. It seems to describe the African American slave trade. I'm just being honest. Because I'm getting all this backlash and I haven't for years said much and I haven't thought it was fair either. So anyways, I'm not a liar. I mean, so I'm telling you, when I was in my car in Florida sharing the offensive stuff, I was truly just looking up Hebrew Israelite videos. Hebrew Israelite videos that was showing information on how to protect yourself from spiritual warfare. Because at the time, I truly was Hebrew. That was my belief system. I'm just being honest with you. That was my belief system. And they were doing stuff in the background, and they were antagonizing me and then using manipulative tactics with the technology and sending stuff about predators and this and that and the third. And they're revving and going ham in the background. And so I remember getting real pissed, and I started just sharing the offensive Hebrew Israelite content, like on purpose. I was purposely doing it. Like anything that I could find that was offensive, I was sharing it on purpose. And it wasn't just about white people. I shared offensive stuff about Christians. I shared offensive stuff about the holidays. What else did I share offensive stuff? Like a lot of stuff. There's a lot of offensive stuff. It's similar to like what's going on with my individual family members. We're in the house in the old neighborhood. They were linking up with the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy's family and doing whatever the fuck they were doing, excuse my language, and tormenting me. And I started saying nasty stuff to them too. Like it wasn't on, I mean, it was recorded, but of course it didn't go viral. Nobody cares about that. But like my dad, for instance, I was like, you know, thinking some mean thoughts. I think that's why he still has a problem with me now. I was thinking some mean stuff about him because I felt like they were torturing me nonstop all day long, and I was just having an angry reaction. Anyway, I didn't mean to go into the details about the white people thing, y'all. What made me do that? Oh, because I was saying where I said, trust me, my brother's issue with me isn't about the white people thing. I'm just saying that's not it. It's really not, because my dad brought this information home when we were in high school. Even if we didn't necessarily subscribe to that part of it, that was brought home by my dad in high school. Okay? So anyway, when we were in high school though, when I was in high school, my younger brother he's 8 years younger than me, and the other one's 10 years younger, whatever grade they were in. My older sister and I were in high school. I remember at first it being annoying. Like, at first it was this cool thing, like, oh, okay, we're the true Jews, cool, that makes sense, but you're a child back then, you know, you're just going along with whatever your parent shows you. But I remember it being annoying when it came to, like, the Sabbath. Like, me and my sister used to like to go to the club a lot with my cousin. I remember, like, Friday night and Saturday night, like, because of the Sabbath, my dad telling us we can't go to the club and stuff, it used to be so annoying to me. Like, all of it was annoying to me. And then when he started coming with the other content that, you know, about white people or whatever, that created some sort of contention in the house a little bit. More so with my mom. You know, we were kind of just like, no, you know, we grew up going to private school. But my mom specifically was fighting with my dad about it because her mom is, you know, basically white. Like, my mom's, according to that I'm not going to go into the details about it here in this video, about the offensive ideology, right? But according to that ideology, the offensive ideology, my grandma would basically be considered white to them, those that believe in the offensive ideology, because her dad's dad was white. My great-great-grandfather was a white man from Ireland. So according to that, the offensive ideology, my grandma would be considered white. And so there's this offensive thing attached to that with some Hebrews, not all. And so when my dad started coming with that stuff, and trying to come with that stuff, that was where this big argument ensued in the house, and my mom was like, hell no, and my grandma was still alive at the time too, and she was basically considered white, and it was this big argument in the house. And my dad was trying to like say, well, look, I don't know, but this is what, look, this is what they showed me, and this, and this, and this. And some of it's like, you know, kind of convincing, but then some of it's like, doesn't make sense. Like, for instance, like I said, Matthew 3:16, to me, that part, like, that one line that says he came to save the world, like, that never sat right with me. That one, and the explanation they gave, I didn't understand it fully, to be honest, because they tried to go higher up in the into the verse and talk about how he's talking about, like, different worlds, and he refers to different it didn't make sense to me, that part. And again, I don't want to, like, pick apart stuff, and I'm not trying to make enemies of the people that truly believe in that, because whatever. I need to learn the Bible more myself. That's the big deal. That's the problem here. I don't know it 100%. I know, like, the basic stuff, and I have always believed in the Bible, and I know to follow the 10 Commandments. I don't know the Bible 100%. I don't. So I could never really argue that. Like, be like, for sure, like, hey, this isn't making sense. Like, I couldn't really go toe-to-toe with anyone about that because I don't know the Bible well enough to do it. Anyway, so that part, though, that one part didn't really make sense to me. I'm just like, this one line here says he came to save the whole world. Like, anyway, so that's what was going on with that, though. The point is, we knew that stuff since high school, the offensive stuff. Whether we subscribe to it or not, that's a different story. We weren't sitting there like some Hebrews tyrannically sharing offensive stuff and perpetuating certain belief systems. That wasn't it. The belief system was, okay, we're Hebrew, we need to follow the commandments, we need to follow the Sabbath. The other stuff doesn't matter, is really what it was. But it was a debate in the house. And it's not like my dad was one of those tyrannical Hebrews that was like, yeah, do white people. He was never that. He even had white friends when he was working at the refinery. One that really liked my dad, and he was trying to invite us over to his house. But anyway, it was more so just like he had some friends that were debating about it. And so he was like, well, look, this point here and this point there. And it was almost like a debate, kind of like the debate I was having with my students where I was bringing controversial topics and they're debating back and forth. And like, this point is kind of a good point, but then this point is a better point. And it was like a debate, and it was personal for my mom too, because of my grandma. Anyway, so nonetheless, the point is, though, we knew about that offensive stuff since high school. That's not new content. Anyway, so that's not the issue that he's having with me. Definitely not. I don't know really what his problem is. And that's why I keep going back to, well, is it you're not happy with your life? Is that what's going on? Like, I don't know what his issue is. Because prior to the targeting, we were cool. Anyway, and they keep doing with this chirp thing. But like I said, when my dad was coming home and bringing up whatever points he was bringing up, it's like more like he was leaning towards belief in that stuff. And my brother was not having an issue with my dad. Like I said, the other day he was playing some pretty offensive music that had some stuff, and I even had to, I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even listen to music like that. Anyway, so that's not the issue he's having with me. I don't know what it is. So anyways, forgot what I was gonna say. So that's why I went off on the tangent about the white people thing, though, y'all, because I try not to talk about that anymore. I've said what I've said about it, like, in numerous videos. Like, for years I've been saying the same stuff. Nothing has changed. Like, if I could go right now to my story from 4 years ago, and everything I'm saying now I said verbatim in that video. I'm as real as they come. I'm saying everything verbatim. I have not changed not one word of anything that I've talked about. And I've pretty much stood 10 toes down in everything that I've said. In fact, I think that's part of the problem, is I'm too blunt or too real, and maybe that's part of why they call me cold. I don't know. I'm just an honest person. I'm just telling you the life I've lived. And these are the cards. This is the cards I was dealt. This was just the way that things worked out. I had a parent that came home and brought that stuff when I was in high school. And that was what happened, and there was a debate in the house about it, and we never necessarily subscribed to the offensive content. It was always just kind of like this debate in the air type thing, and that doesn't matter. Like, it's irrelevant, that part of things. Why does that matter? The point is, follow the commandments, be a good person, live your life. We were never the offensive type of Hebrews, not even my dad, whenever he was bringing over that stuff. He has friends that doesn't believe in that stuff that was arguing with him about it. To this day, he has friends that are Hebrew Israelite that don't believe in that stuff about white people. So it's just like this toss-up thing. It's really a toss-up. It just depends on, what your understanding or your perception, I should say, of the Bible is. I just know that when he brought it home, it was a debate in the house, though. And my mom didn't like it because of my grandma. Anyway, you can see what my belief system was, because I was dating a white guy. Y'all, sorry that the clip ended abruptly the way that it ended. But what happened is I ended up spending a few minutes talking about my ex-boyfriend from Colombia. His name is James. I ended up saying his full government name on the camera, y'all, because it's a a very common last name that he has. Both of his names, his first name and his last name, are common names. And in the past, when I mentioned him in prior videos, I tried to look him up on social media and I could not find him. So that's why I was openly saying his government name on camera, because I was talking about the fact that even I couldn't find him. We broke up 6.5 years ago, by the way, y'all. I dated him in 2018. It's 2026 now. Anyway, when I did date him, though, when him and I dated, he didn't have social media. He didn't have Facebook. He didn't have YouTube. He didn't have Instagram. None of those accounts. He was a very private, kind of quiet, not quiet, but a very private person. He didn't have social media accounts. So when things popped off with the targeting and things blew up with my targeting in 2022, him and I broke up, by the way, y'all, in 2018. We dated for about like 5 to 6 months, not a long relationship, like half a year. Anyway, so that was years ago. But fast forward to when I became a target in 2020, and then 2 years after that, when I tried to relocate off island, I went to the States. The targeting followed me. I didn't know I was a target at the time. And I ended up sitting in my car and sharing offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda out of anger, like what I was just talking about, y'all, in the earlier clip. When I got back on island in 2022, at the end of 2022, I started making videos to defend myself because the targeting blew up. So one of the things I used to defend myself and prove that I was not prejudiced was to mention this ex James, because he's a Caucasian man from Colombia. I met him outside of the car dealership. I was looking for my car when I was in Florida. I was looking for a cheap car that I could buy, because I was working as a substitute teacher and I was also in school. So while I was at the car dealership, his dad was at the dealership looking for a truck for him. He's spoiled. His parents paid for everything. Like, he doesn't have to work. His dad has a business and he whatever, they pay for everything. So anyway, when I was outside the dealership, he approached me and asked me for my number, and that's how him and I started talking. I was actually there with my sister and he approached me. So anyway, y'all, I ended up dating him, talking to him and dating him for a few months. We even lived together for a couple months. He was there when the Airbnb weird stuff was happening. The Airbnb stuff that led to me sending the text message when I came back on island. Anyway, nonetheless, y'all, so fast forward, like I said, to years later, after the targeting blew up and I shared the offensive Hebrew Israelite propaganda, when I got back on island at the end of 2022, when I started making videos, he was one of the people that I brought up to prove that I'm not prejudiced, because he identifies as Caucasian. He was even telling me about Cartagena, Colombia. That's where he's from. And he was telling me that there are certain parts of Cartagena that has a concentration of Afro-Latinas. Just like you have different ethnicities in America and different ethnicities in Africa and different continents around the world, you have different ethnicities in South America. And so you have some Latinas, because that's what they are in Colombia, they're considered Latina. You have some Latinas that identify as Caucasian, and you have some Latinas that identify as Black. They call themselves Afro-Latinas. So he was telling me there's Black people like you there, mommy. And he was telling me like my complexion that are there. And he was explaining that to me. So he was checking off Caucasian on his applications and stuff. Anyway, so that's why I was trying to find him years ago when I first mentioned him. In one of my prior videos, like a few years back, I was trying to find him. I could not find him. I knew he didn't have social media, but I still tried anyway. I couldn't find anything. And then last year, it's like the program did their research somehow and found him. I didn't even say his last name. I did say it in the last clip, y'all. That's why I did the big cut. That's why you heard the video cut off so abruptly, and I'm making this clip now and adding it in. Because I said his name on camera. I didn't think he had social media. I don't even know how the program found him. But he contacted me last year randomly, sent me an email, and I could tell they had reached out to him. I'm like, how the hell did he even get my email? First of all. But then second of all, I'm like, how did they find him? Because I never said his last name. I said it last night in the clip that you heard that just cut off. That's why I cut it, y'all. Because I said his last name and then I looked him up and realized he does have social media now. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But anyway, I never mentioned his last name when I talked about him in prior videos a couple years ago. Somehow the program still found him. So either they did their research and used their reach and their resources, all the power and, technology and whatever they have to find him, or they went through my family members and found him. I'm trying to figure it out. because my family members know his full name. I remember them even doing a background check on him. They used to do that all the time prior to my life. Any dude that I was dating, like, they used to do background checks and all kinds of stuff because I'm a private person. So they would actually pry and do background checks and stuff on these men. Like, they used to do that type of stuff. So anyways, y'all, and it's not like I'm some, like, risk case, like, you need to look at and, like, pay attention to what I'm doing, like, I need to be babysat. My younger sister, had some questionable choices that she dated, some really questionable choices, and they weren't doing this to her, because she's like an open book. She talks about everything, she tells them everything, so they didn't feel the need to pry. But with me, I'm more of a private person, and when I'm ready, I divulge info. And so they would, like, get the name of these people and do background checks. And I never felt offended by it because I felt like they cared about me. So that's why I didn't get upset about it. But anyway, so I don't know how they found him because I never said his last name. For the first time in history, on camera, I said his last name last night. And that's why I just cut the clip, y'all. Because after making the clip, the video where I said his full government name, I went and looked him up on Facebook just for the hell of it. I had done it in the past and couldn't find him. And I found this, like, recently made account with a few pictures. And some of the pictures were looking kind of sketchy to me. And so I didn't want them to find him. You know, because what they do with the program, man, they're very judgmental and they try to create these false narratives and stuff. And so to me, the pictures just looked a little off to me. So that's why I was like, oh boy, let me cut the clip where I said his full name. Because I did want to include some of the pictures so you could see what I mean when I said I dated somebody Caucasian. But I didn't want them to find his account once I saw, you know, some of the pictures. And I realized again today, y'all, I went on the page again. It's not as bad as I thought. Because the program immediately, same thing I said, started trying to run with what I said about his pictures looking sketchy and started sending weird subliminal stuff with the technology, trying to, you know, come at me for dating him. I've dated a variety of different men, y'all. They've done their research. One of the men I dated is a firefighter right now. Another one is a tech guy. He's in the tech industry. The guy that led me on, y'all, that took my virginity and did whatever to me, he's in the tech industry. So I've dated a variety of different men, but of course they're going to hone in on the one that looks like they have a problem or has something going on negative right now. Anyway, it wasn't what I thought. When I went to his page again, it's not as bad as I thought. It's just he's wearing this weird, like, headgear now. It seems like he's a part of some, like, African organization, not Hebrew. Some next entity, I don't know what he's a part of, some African organization. And then he also has, like, a tattoo by his eye now, which is not a problem. I'm not judging anybody that has a tattoo by their eye. When I was with him, he had tattoos on his chest and he had a few on his arms. But the tattoo by the eye is, like, a new thing. So all of this is, like, things that I think they would use to try to be judgmental. Immediately, they started sending references about the man from the gym and subliminal stuff. That's to tell you to keep proving that this is not about white people or any of those other things they keep trying to pretend it's about. It's about getting revenge for this man from the gym. And the way the situation looked, that's what this is about. And even with the weird headgear that he's wearing now, he still, in my opinion, is more attractive than the man from the gym. Anyway, y'all, so that's why the video cut off, though. Because for a good 2 minutes, I was talking about this ex that's from Colombia, that's Caucasian. And I ended up saying his full name. And then after I made the clip, I looked him up and realized that he has a Facebook page now. And, you know, he's wearing some weird headgear and stuff. So I was like, oh, boy. So that's why I cut the clip, y'all. So the next clip is going to be the continuation of, you know, after I was talking about him. So I cut out like 2 minutes of the video. So the next clip you're going to hear is me just kind of continuing on. You're going to hear me just saying, talking about what I just talked about. The fact that they looked him up and he emailed me last year. And then saying that I know they verified the fair thing, too. The fact that I have white blood in me. I know they did their research with that, too. Because the fact that they found this ex and I never even said his last name. I couldn't even find him. I just found him for the first time yesterday after years of looking for him. I'm like, I know they did their research. Anyway, y'all, let me quickly show you pictures of this ex, though. You know, he's one of the ones I've talked about, but I couldn't find pictures. I have pictures now. There was like one picture in the email he sent to me that I put in one of these videos I made months ago. I can't remember, but which video it is. So I'm going to show you pictures. This is what I mean when I said he looks off, y'all. It's like the weird expression in his eyes, and then it's also like the weird thing on his head he's wearing. This is Shadow Network, y'all. This picture here in the orange, this is Shadow Network. There's no way this man is wearing plaid and orange. They just started using the orange 2 months ago on me in reference to the man from the gym. And that's like relegated. That's something that's being used here on island. He's wherever the hell he's at in Florida. There's no way he's wearing that. You remember I showed y'all an example in the last video, the video that's now private. Another video I told y'all I wasn't going to keep public. I showed y'all in the last video what they're doing with the AI Shadow Network with my Facebook, where I'm getting these friend requests and they're making it look like these people are wearing patterns or colors that they've sensitized me to. But when I look at the date, it's from dates from years ago, like before I was even a target. So they're using the AI shadow network. Look, a drone by my window, y'all. You know, they have drones too that they use. They use lizards, birds, flies, you name it, roosters. It's a high science program, y'all. A lizard hopped up on my window just then when I was talking about the AI. Anyway, so this man isn't wearing this. This is some old picture. He's not wearing this, but they made it look like he was wearing orange and plaid. But what I meant by weird was I was talking about the expression in his eyes. Like, his eyes look like he has a weird expression. He's wearing this weird headgear. He has a tattoo by his eye. You know, so that's what I meant when I said he's looking kind of off now. I think he's a part of some organization, because then I saw pictures like this. So it seems like he's a part of some, they look African or something. Seems like he's a part of some organization or something like that. Anyway, so this is him though, y'all. This is more so what he looked like when I was dating him. And he did not have the tattoo by the eye either. And this is kind of like how he was dressing. Now he's wearing like weird headgear and he has like this tattoo by his eye. And that's why I said it looks like he's going off. This is more so what he looked like. This is another picture, y'all. This is what I was talking about when I said his eyes are... He has a tan hair. He's actually looking more like Puerto Rican than Caucasian, but he's typically more fair-skinned. I think he has a tan. I think he's been out in the sun or something. But he has like these unique colored eyes. It's like these hazel eyes. My sister used to call them cat eyes. I've never seen eyes like his before. This is another picture, y'all. You can see he's just like looking kind of off compared to how he looked when I was dating him. You know, his hair is grown out, which is not a problem. I actually kind of like it. But it's just like the tattoo by the eye and the scary eyes. Like, he's looking like he has a scary expression in his eyes. He didn't look like that when I was dating him. And I think I showed every picture, yeah, that I was planning. And this is just some of his family, but this is not all of them. His parents look white. This is just some of his family. Anyway, y'all, so that's it, y'all. I just wanted to quickly show you him. So I'm not a prejudiced person. I've been in, like, interracial relationships. He's not the first one. I've dated different types of people. I'm not a prejudiced person. I was with him right before the targeting started. We actually lived together for a couple months. Anyway, so that's what it is, y'all. That's what this clip is. Just letting you know that I said his full government name. And I ended up finding out that he has a Facebook now. So I didn't want people to look him up and find him. Especially when I saw him wearing, like, strange head attire and whatever's going on with him now. 6.5 years later, after dating me. So anyways, that's it, y'all. So the next clip is just a continuation of the video before I cut out the chunk that I cut out. So you're going to just hear me, like, it's going to sound like a continuation of talking. Me just talking about how they looked him up and he contacted me, sent me an email last year. And then talking about how I know they verified the Irish thing and the fair thing and the fact that I have white in me, blah, 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 blah. All right, y'all. Peace out. The man sent me an email. I was like, how the hell did they find this man? I'm like, I couldn't, this is why I'm saying I know they verified what I said about the fair thing. Because with the type of stuff, the resources and the reach they have and the things that they've already done, I know they already verified it. So anyways, so you guys see what my belief system was. Even though I'm not gonna lie, I did believe that African Americans were the true Jews. I did believe that. I'm not gonna lie, I did believe that. I didn't believe the offensive thing about white people. Like, the Matthew 3:16, to me, that part never made sense to me. Where you're saying it's the worlds and it just didn't make sense to me. I'm just sorry. I'm not trying to offend anyone. That part, I didn't understand it. That part didn't make sense to me. So I was dating who I wanted to date. That's what it was. Anyway, so they contacted him and he reached out, but nonetheless, so you can see what my real beliefs, like, that part, I'm one of those that didn't believe that stuff. That's what I'm saying. I was mad and I was purposely sharing offensive stuff, like I was trying to be a bitch and I was doing a good job. Anyway, so back to the point though, y'all, because I sat here for like 30 to 40 minutes talking about the same redundant stuff that I've talked about in prior videos, simply because I was trying to expound on the comment I made about my brother. Anyway, so this brother just has an issue with me, like, this big problem with me. And hear the ref campaign when I said that now, one of the biased nutcases in the neighborhood. Anyway, so he has this big issue with me and he never did before. In fact, one of the things we used to call each other was partners, right? My older sister used to call my youngest brother partner. And I used to call my the brother that has the problem with me, partner, because of how our characteristics. Like, I like video games, gaming, and so does that brother, the one that has the problem with me. And I have the stuffy nose, the runny nose issue. So does that brother that has the problem with me. My older sister and the youngest brother, they're more carefree, and the oldest and the youngest, so it's like opposites, you know, like that kind of way. Opposites are actually like cool for some reason. They were always partners because they liked the blue, and their favorite color was blue. And when we were younger, my brother, the one that has the problem with me and I, our favorite color was red, and we would play the video games and the stuffy nose and stuff, the snotty nose. My older sister used to call the youngest brother partner because they like blue, and I forget what other things they had in common. Like, it was just this thing we used to have in the house. It was funny when we were growing up. And then my youngest sister was like smack dab in the middle, so she just played like Malcolm in the middle. She was like on everybody's team or whatever. But we were all cool and we were all close. I used to sit with my brothers. I keep saying this, I'm like Pug Melly, and they used to be telling me about the girls they were dating, and I was sitting there on the edge of my seat listening, and they used to know about the guys I was dating. It was a normal family and a normal relationship. It wasn't this weird thing that's happening now, this weird, awkward, horrible, whatever this is on camera now, and him having this big, huge issue with me and doing mean, wicked stuff. So anyway, he's gone real low down with the targeting, though, and noise campaigns for horrible stuff. So I remember when I got the injury about 4 months ago, in the new gym, and it was like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if my bladder was hanging down. I didn't know if I was having prolapse, which is like this devastating diagnosis, by the way. I didn't know if that's what was going on. I didn't know if it was a hernia. I just knew I was devastated, and then I'm targeted too, and all these weird things are happening. He, you know, when I started healing myself and getting excited and realizing I was making progress with healing myself, I started to go up in weight again with the squatting, slowly but surely. And so I started squatting like 95 pounds. I remember the day I did that. When I came home, I started feeling like this, like kind of discomfort in the area where the bulge was. But I didn't see the bulge. But I started feeling a little discomfort there, like I was pushing it too fast, too quick. I was pushing it too hard, too quick. Or I was moving up in weight too quickly. I remember I'm in the room talking about it in a video or whatever, thinking about it in my head, whatever was going on. He goes by the door, he starts snickering and laughing loud for me to hear him. And that's not the first time he's done mean, low-down stuff. Like, he does mean bullying stuff all the time. But, like, you're actually laughing at the fact that I'm injured, and it's like it could be, like, this devastating diagnosis. Like, they were all watching me. They were all seeing me read what the diagnosis for prolapse is and what the diagnosis for hernia is. They were all watching me read these different diagnoses. So they knew how devastating a prolapse would have been. He's there laughing by the thing when you thought I healed myself, and now it seems like I'm having an issue still. He's laughing for me to hear by the door. The program is all for it. Every time he's doing, you hear them chirping it in support. That's what I'm saying. They're very biased and subjective and wicked. And then they use their power in an unfair way. So they're making the noise in support of that, right? But anytime something happens with me, they're on top of me just waiting for me to do something. And if it even seems like I'm laughing or doing anything, they're ready to hop on top of me and do something. It's wicked. They're subjective, they're biased, and they're wicked, and they're abusing whatever reach and power they have over me. So it's okay for him to do that, but if now something bad is happening to him and I snicker, it's something bad, which I didn't, by the way. But I'm just saying, the way they're reacting every time something happens to him, the way they're on top of me, it's like if I even dare laugh, they're going to do something to me. But he could laugh and do all the wicked bullying shit and get in the back, tap, tap, tap. That's why I don't take them serious, you know. That's why I moved the way I move. I don't take them, there's no, like, I have a level of respect, right? But there's a part of me that has no respect, you know. I'm telling you. Because I'm a very right is right and wrong is wrong type of person. And if you show me that you don't really have a moral compass with certain things, and you're like subjective, and it's like you don't, like, all shit goes, and it's not about what's fair. I just the personality I have, I'm a Capricorn. I don't really respect, like, 100%. So anyway, there's like this weird conundrum with me. Because I do respect law enforcement, and I do respect the government, and I don't have an issue with law enforcement or the government. But at the same time, you know, this is a government program, and law enforcement's involved, and the man from the gym is best friends with the police and with the correction officers, etc. And it's all this unfair treatment and certain things that I see that they do, and it's like this, like, conundrum or this paradoxical thing where I respect law enforcement and I have respect for government officials, but just in general, the whole entity itself is like, especially with them admitting to recording me having sex with an ex in my apartment 4 years ago, and admitting to setting me up for years and years and years, and pretty much proving that this is not about the things they keep pretending it's about. Anyway, y'all, let me stop this for a minute and blow my nose. on a major tangent. So let me get back to the point, y'all. I start talking about stuff I've talked about in videos from years ago, like stuff that I don't need to keep repeating, y'all. They were just using one of the guys that wears the purple from the Hebrew Israelite group that I was sharing the offensive propaganda in my car in Florida 4 years ago. That group. And I told y'all they use them as gang stalkers sometimes, like, I guess to, like, confirm that this is not about white people. But that's, like, one of the major sensitizations that you're using in the targeting. I don't understand. Like, they keep saying I don't understand. I'm telling them I don't. I really don't understand. Anyway, so they're using one of those guys today as a gang stalker, and I'm not trying to come for those guys. You know, it's a free country, right? Freedom of speech. You can believe what you want as long as you're not hurting people. That's their business. I'm not trying to come for them and make enemies with them. I'm not affiliated with them. I never have been. I shouldn't have shared their content. And then, of all things for me to do, it's like I have this big bright light on me, and then I shared, like, the worst of their content. They have other content that I actually do listen to sometimes. Well, not anymore. I used to listen to the Hebrew stuff that wasn't pertaining to that. I listened to different groups. I listened to them. I was listening to this guy, this other group, this guy that wears all white. I was listening to the group that we went to church with that doesn't believe in the offensive content. I listened to a bunch of different groups, just anything that was Hebrew back then, because that was my belief system, similar to being Christian. So I thought witchcraft was on me, and I was looking at Hebrew videos on how to protect yourself from spiritual warfare. I thought it was witchcraft with the high science element of the targeting. So no, I was just looking up different Hebrew videos. It wasn't just them. They can run the cameras back. I was looking at different groups. There were like 3-4 different groups I was looking at. They just happened to be, their videos are so popular because they're such a freaking big ass group. They're like one of the biggest Hebrew Israelite groups out there. And so unfortunately, in a way, it kind of gives Hebrew Israelites a bad rap because they do share some of the offensive stuff. That's not the only stuff they share, but that group specifically does subscribe to the offensive content. And they're such a big ass group. It's like so many of them in so many different states. It's like, that's like one of the main things you see when you type in Hebrew Israelite. So you wouldn't know that there are Hebrew Israelite groups that actually have white people in their church. You would never believe that. You wouldn't know that there are Hebrew Israelites that don't believe in that specific offensive ideology. Anyway, whatever. So I was looking up videos for spiritual protection because I thought witchcraft was on me. And their videos happened to pop up and be some of the videos I was looking. They were not the only Hebrew group I was listening to, but they were the main group that I was sharing information from in my car in Florida when I got mad. Once they started revving in the background and with the manipulative freaking satanic program, purposely sending stuff about predators and lust, every video I clicked on looking for spiritual protection was about atonement for sins and lust and drunkenness and things in the darkness coming to light. I'm like, how every video I'm clicking on has this theme? I'm like, I know I didn't do anything. I know God knows I didn't do anything. Why is every video that I'm clicking on having this theme? I didn't know about the technology and the AI shadow network software. I talked about this already, y'all. And I had already pissed them off in Indiana because of what happened on the Greyhound bus, which was not specific to homeless people. Another thing that was taken out of context. But anyway, y'all. Yeah, okay, whatever. They just want to make the noise in the background. They know what they're doing is unfair, you know. They know what they're doing is unfair, you know. It had nothing to do with homeless people, y'all. What happened on the Greyhound bus? They're doing the ambulance now. Listen. Mind you, y'all, the man that was sitting right to the left of me on the Greyhound bus when I had whatever reaction I had, regular everyday Joe. He was not homeless. He was directly to the left of me. They went and created this whole thing with homeless people because the guy in the seats to the right on the other side of the bus was homeless. Everyone else around in the vicinity of where I was sitting was not. It had nothing to do with homeless people. Again, it's just a selective anger and trying to have an issue with me type thing. Before I even tried to relocate off island, y'all, they were doing this to me. I couldn't even stay in my apartment. I ended up turning in my, what's the thing you do? Turning in my 30-day notice for that nice apartment. It was only $600. That's a steal of a deal down here. $600 for that apartment. Utilities included. Fridge, AC, bathroom, bed. It was a studio, but it had all those things. I actually turned in my 30-day lease because I was so miserable in that apartment with what they were doing to me. Apparently, they recorded me having intercourse with my ex, the bitter ex, and pulled it out 4 years later to spite me. So no, it's not about that stuff. It's not about the reaction I had on the Greyhound bus when I realized the shit followed me and I hadn't committed a crime. It's not about the offensive content I shared in my car in Florida over 4 years ago due to targeting and manipulation with the technology. It's not about any of that stuff. That's not what it's about. They're chirping and confirming it. So why are they going with the ambulance for homeless people? You just have an issue with me. You don't even know why. If you really think about it, you don't even know why. Because I've been having reactions to abuse? That couldn't be why. You just have an issue. Because I'm reacting to you abusing me and torturing me and staring at me all day long and doing weird activity? Like the thing next door that just went again? You're staring at me 24/7. I don't get a moment of peace. I'm human, so I'm not supposed to react? That's why you have the problem? Again, that's the effect and not the cause. Why are you doing this? Over an innocent text from 6 years ago? Over something I said to a man that I was talking to virtually over a decade ago? What is this about? Exactly. So anyways, y'all, they don't even know why they're mad. I'm telling you, they don't even know why. So nonetheless, y'all, back to what this video is about though, y'all. I went off on some major tangents, and these are things I've talked about like in prior videos. It's like talking to a brick wall. I'm not going to keep repeating the same shit over and over. I'm not. So anyways, so this brother just has an issue with me, and he does like noise campaigns for horrible, mean, low down stuff sometimes. It's just really low down. And I remember like about 6 or 8 months ago, I started talking about this a little while ago, and I think I went off on a tangent again. He was trying to get a job at the airport with TSA. So that would have been a decent job, a decent paying job, you know, even though you do have like a cybersecurity degree, and you could be making like a lot of money if you knew how to push yourself and actually, you know, assert yourself or whatever. Not a search. That's not the word I'm looking for. I'm tired, y'all. If you were more, I don't want to use the word ambitious, but you know, he's not stupid. Anyway, at least that was a decent job though. Like that's a decent paying job. Similar to like being a corrections officer. You don't need a degree for that job either, but you can make a hell of a lot doing that job. There are jobs out there like that where you don't necessarily need a degree and you can make a good living. So even that is something he can do. He couldn't even get the job at the airport. I think it's bad-mindedness. Because he needed pee. You know, he is a smoker. So he needed my pee. 3 times I gave him pee. And while he's doing noise campaigns on me out there. Being spiteful. Being spiteful as hell out there doing noise campaigns. I gave him pee 3 different times he came to me asking me for pee. And I'm peeing in the cup and giving him the pee. And then he's turning around and doing noise campaigns on me. It doesn't work out for whatever reason. I don't know why it wasn't working out. I guess the pee was too cold or whatever was going on. I don't know what was going on, why he needed my pee 3 times. But then he has to come with his tail between his legs asking me for the pee again. Do you know if the worlds were reversed and I were doing the things he was doing to me, and I asked him for pee even one time, that man wouldn't have given me the pee, you know? 2 different characters. 2 different characters. Anyway, he couldn't get the job. Whatever happened. I think it was something with his traffic thing, like with his license from Florida. I think he had some sort of marks on his license or some craziness like that, why he couldn't get the job. And for me, I'm just like, I feel like that's bad-mindedness, because it's like he just keeps doing all these wicked bullying things to me, and I haven't done anything to him. And then even while you're asking me for help to give you pee to get the job when I'm doing it, you're still out there doing noise campaigns. And this was around the time when he did the laughing thing when my guts were hanging out too. This was around that time. And then you didn't get the job. I'm like, to me, that felt like karma. But I didn't even still, when I heard he didn't get the job, was I in here going and laughing? I didn't, because that's not the kind of heart I have. I'm not bad-minded. Look, they're doing the gaslighting ambulance again, y'all. That's what I'm saying. They know what I'm saying is true, y'all. And they just want to have a problem with me. If you ask them what the issue is, I could show you someone who's doing what they're claiming that I did and worse, and they don't have a problem with that person. Right down to sharing the offensive content I shared out of anger in my car 4 years ago. But you're using the guys who created the content as gang stalkers, and you're not following them and putting ambulances up the booty? You pretended like I had done something over a text message, but you're sensationalizing the name of a character who has a scandalous past, who did kind of do something that resembles what you're accusing me of? What is this about? It's personal. You have a personal issue with me. Just say it. You don't even know why you mad or why you have an issue with me. You do not know. Anyway, y'all. So back to what I was saying. Here, the nut with the red eyes now, trying to get attention. He's just completely unhinged. Like, one of the first things I'm going to do when I move out this neighborhood, y'all, is throw a party on camera that I don't ever have to deal with him again. He's batshit crazy. This is beyond a personal issue because I don't even know him. I don't even know what his thing is with me. He creeps me out, actually. I don't know what his thing is with me. He actually gives me the heebie-jeebies. The heebies. Anyway, y'all. Continuing on, though. So he wasn't able to get the job with TSA. And I just feel like it was bad-minded stuff. Because all around then when he was asking me for the P and stuff, and I'm giving it to him, he keeps doing noise campaigns outside on me. And then this was also around the time where he was laughing at me when it seemed like the injury had, kind of started coming back when I started squatting heavier. Like, these are all low, wicked things he did. And then even after hearing he didn't get the job, do you know I didn't sit there and laugh at him? 2 different characters. They could see I'm dead right, but they have such a problem with me. It's kind of similar to him, I think their heart is. That they're supporting what he's doing. And then getting on me if they think for even a second that I'm going to laugh at him for something. Have a human reaction and laugh back. Which I didn't, by the way. It's just not my character. But I'm saying even if I did. The fact that they were ready to hop on me, they were the way they were just now. And that's not the first time that happened either. The other day, he was sick, about 2 weeks ago. He was puking his guts out. Some sickness he got out there partying or whatever he was doing. Asking me to call the supervisor to let the supervisor know he's not coming to work. I come in the room to call the supervisor. They're making noises on top of me like I'm going to be sitting there smiling or laughing at him. Because they know what he does. So they thought I was going to do the same thing. They start making noise campaigns in the neighborhood and with the birds like I'm going to do the same thing. Even if I did, which I didn't, how dare you get mad at me but you make noise and support when he does it to me? How more blatantly subjective and unfair could you fucking be? So anyways, y'all. Nonetheless, so back to what I was saying, y'all. They always start making the noise campaigns. I realize it's not somebody's voice. It's some sort of weird audio thing they have turned up now. Anytime I'm making, this is what they do. It's like no brain cells. Anytime I'm making sense or what I'm saying is real in these videos, their rebuttal is to turn up stuff to shut down what I'm saying. Like it's blatant, willful, ignorant subjectivity and bias and bad-mindedness. Blatant. Wicked. Anyway, back to what I was saying though, y'all. Let me finish this story why I'm making this video, y'all, because it's getting to be too long now. So anyway, so he has this issue with me and he does noise campaigns on me for horrible stuff. So that thing with the car happened about 2 months ago where he went in the trunk and then I went to leave, and before I could even leave our street, the back of the fucking, excuse my language, y'all, the nasty language. Ever since the targeting has gone viral, y'all, and I've been on camera being tortured 24/7 nonstop, I have a potty mouth, like the mouth of a sailor. Like I cuss stink. They even sent me, they call him the cussing doctor, the stupid dumb AI. On Instagram, when I went on Instagram, and it was like this anime doctor that like does these educational videos teaching you about different ailments and stuff and different medicines. And he's cussing every other word he's cussing. They call him the cussing doctor. I want to go to YouTube, to Instagram and see if I can find him. But it's called the cussing doctor, and he's cussing stink, like worse than me. But it's just like a reminder of the change too. Like I was just like respectable, prim and proper, trying to be at least thing before the targeting went viral. And then it was just like day in and day out of torture and unfair treatment. And like I just started cussing like a sailor. Like I have a potty mouth now. Like I have a real potty mouth. And I have to try to like tone it down and remind myself like, okay, come on now. At first it wasn't like that. When I got back on island, I was more embarrassed. And I remembered that everyone's watching, and I have, I was a teacher and students and this and that, and I was moving this kind of way. And then after a while of the torture and stuff, it's like you just stop caring. Like desensitization happens and you just totally stop caring. Especially when it comes to like a bunch of unfair treatment and sadistic torture on camera nonstop. You stop caring. Whatever goes. Whatever comes out. You stop caring. Anyway, so back to this thing with the car though, y'all. Let me hurry up and wrap this video up. So that's what happened about 2 months ago, where my brother went in the trunk, asked me for the keys, went in the trunk earlier on in the day, and then later in the day when I went to take the car, the trunk bust open and stuff fell out the back of the freaking car. Before I could even leave the street, and the elderly lady that they call Crazy T came out the house in a yellow dress and was asking me if I'm okay if I need help. So I grabbed everything. I told her, no, thank you. Threw everything in the trunk, slammed it closed, and I left off the street. And I was able to make it to like the exit point of the neighborhood. And then the thing popped open again. And I had to tie it closed with like string and stuff. I had to tie it closed with strings that I had in the car, cloth, old rag. These old leggings that I had. I tied it closed with that, and then I went and got the zip ties. The zip ties have been on the vehicle for the last 2 months. My mom has come and gone several times. I know she saw those zip ties. I know she saw what happened on camera. So now today, all of a sudden, right, I was already dealing with a bunch of gang stalking, torture shit outside, as usual, all day long. Excuse me, y'all. I come home now, I realize nobody's home. I'm like, yes. Because typically I wouldn't care if anyone was home. Actually, I prefer people to be home back in the day. I used to like the company. I used to be close. I used to go with my family. I used to go sit on the couch and watch shows with them and stuff. But nowadays, where I'm isolated off to myself and they're watching me on camera and just the discomfort of whatever, I don't really care for, like, I like moments where I get to be in the household, even though you have the crazy neighbors that are listening and doing gang stalking and stuff. Not all of them are crazy, but I'm saying the ones, like the one next door that does crazy stuff. Even though they're watching me 24/7 and doing noise campaigns, it just still feels good being in the house sometimes by myself for a little bit. That's a rare occurrence. It really happens. At least one person is always home. So anyway, I remember coming home and thinking, hey, nobody's home. It was kind of way. I didn't even realize my sister was home. I saw her car there. But from my understanding, she was supposed to be out with my mom running errands today for some event thing she has going on. So I didn't even know she was home. So I thought I was home alone, and I remember getting excited about it. So eventually she leaves, though. She came out, I realized she was home. She left. And I'm in the house by myself, and I'm kind of just like enjoying being home by myself. So I remember making a comment. Before I made the comment, my mom and my dad pulled up. I have to remember this detail happened. And when my mom came, she said, your brother was in a bad accident today. She said him and his girlfriend are in the hospital right now. And she said, but your brother's okay. It's just the girlfriend. She's just a little bit hurt. She's okay, but you know, she just, her bones are soft. And apparently she was pregnant, right, recently. And like she lost a baby. And so that's something that happened recently, and my brother kind of just met her, like two or 3 months ago. My brother moves in and out of relationships like crazy. Like I think this is the first one. I want to say that, only because he has her in the house with us. I want to say I think this is the first one where it seemed like more serious for him, but he gets pretty serious with these girls. Like he hops in and out of these relationships for months on end. Sometimes he'll be with the person for a year, shacking up. He goes to their place typically and lives with them, and he be all kind of stuff going on, he's like serious relationship. And then next thing you know, it's someone new. Like we know this about him. But the thing that's caused contention again with this new relationship, so it's not just the issue that he has with me and the noise campaigns he does on me, but now he's gotten in this new relationship with this female that he's bringing into the house now, and they're both doing noise campaigns on me. Everybody saw it. This is why I was like, what the hell is going on? They were both doing noise campaigns on me, but it's this off and on thing. It's not like all the time. Sometimes it's like this bipolar thing where she'll come out and say hello and be polite, and then they're in the low corner and they don't do stuff. And then sometimes they're doing noise campaigns on me. So everybody's seeing it. I remember one time when they were doing noise campaigns, of course, the neighborhood, the people that get involved started doing noise campaigns in the background when it was happening. So every time they're pulling up, I start feeling like this angst kind of way, because it's like now I have to get used to her energy. And it wouldn't be a thing if I weren't on camera. But it's the fact that I'm being watched by now this new person. I already be feeling uncomfortable. At least when I come in the house, I'm used to the energy in the house. This is family. I've been dealing with them for years. But now it's this random new person that's watching me too. So when I'm going in the bathroom and I'm peeing or I'm pooping or I'm bathing, I'm aware that she's watching me too. It's just really, I hate this program. It's horrible. It's a nightmare. And then now she's actually participating in noise campaigns with my brother off and on. Not all the time. It's off and on. So it's created this weird contentious thing. So whenever they're pulling up, I always get this kind of like drag down kind of feeling and look on my face, because it's like I don't know if it's going to be a noise campaign today or not. But then also too, now it's just like I'm keenly aware of her presence and the fact that now this is someone new in the house that's watching me. If they took the cameras off, I wouldn't give a rat's ass. They could go right there in the living room and do whatever the hell they want to do. I would not care. It's the fact that I'm on camera being tortured and they're off and on, they're doing noise campaigns on me. And it's this weird thing with him now where it's like he'd be trying to show off, it almost seems like, with this girl. where he's doing the noise campaigns, and it's like, it's almost like more than what he typically does. And trust me, he's done a lot. But like, it's this weird thing now with this new girl where it's like more than he typically does. It's like the show off type thing. He just got out of a relationship with this other girl that he was with. She had an apartment. So of course I preferred that relationship because he would leave. And I wouldn't have to deal with the noise campaigns with him. Right? And so it's one less person in the house. So I have more times where I can be here alone at times. Like when my parents leave, my sister goes to work, I get the house to myself. Now it's like he's home more because he's with this girl and she doesn't have her own apartment. It seems like she lives with her mom or whatever. He's bringing her into the back room by his room, and they're doing noise campaigns on me off and on. It's not all the time. Off and on. So of course I feel some kind of way about that. Duh. Who wouldn't? This is common sense stuff. It's simple. So anyways, now, so every time he's pulling up with her, now I'm feeling antsy. I'm like, oh boy. You know, I'm trying not to feel that way, but I feel that way because I'm being watched on camera and I don't know if it's going to be a day where he's showing off and doing stupid shit to make me miserable. It's like turning into this thing in the house. Nonetheless, anyway, the other girl he was with, like, he brought her over here too, but not in the house. He just used to bring her outside sometimes, like when he's picking up his car and then they're gone. And he's going and staying for days at a time at her apartment. So I was actually getting to ease off of the gang stalking. And she was polite. She never did gang stalking on me. She was just whenever I rode in the car with her, there was a time where he needed to use the car. His car was down. He had her in the car. She was polite. She said goodnight. That was it. I'm sure whatever behind closed doors they were saying whatever about me. But at least to my face, she was polite and that was it. It wasn't this contentious thing where now you're coming in the house in my space where I pay rent and where I stay and where I have to stay. You're watching me on camera and you're doing noise campaigns. They even did this crazy thing the other night with the noise campaigns where they were doing the noise campaigns on me first. And so I, of course, made whatever comments I made about it. Then I'm looking through my movie thing in Hulu looking for a movie. And there was a movie about a robot. And it said AI bot invades a couple's home or whatever craziness it said. And I hear them snickering outside. I'm like, a couple's home? You just met this girl 2 months ago. She does not live here. I live here. I pay rent. You're the one harassing me. It's not like I'm just picking up and having a problem with you and your girlfriend. I would never. Every time she came around, I would say good afternoon. Immediately, as soon as he started bringing her in the house, he starts showing off and doing noise campaigns. You're starting with me. And then you're saying I'm invading your home. You're invading my home with the craziness and doing noise campaigns and staring at me on camera. I was just like, it was almost like equivalent to the craziness that happened earlier that made me flip out. Some next hypocritical thing that happened, not with my brother, with the program. I told y'all I deal with gang stalking stuff every day, y'all, on the roads with this crazy program. Some crazy shit that I'm not even going to talk about this, y'all, that they flew down for that had me flipping out. So I'm just like, I'm up to here with it, y'all. And it's like, obviously, eventually I'm going to get my own place, but I haven't even started teaching yet. That's not until August. I'm feeling anxious about that because I'm still on camera. They're still projecting my thoughts. Like, all of these things have me feeling anxious. Not like I'm not capable. I know I'm capable, but it's just like misery. The circumstances. I'm miserable. Anyway, I haven't started whatever yet. So it's like I don't have the money to get my own place yet. So it's like I'm kind of like, I have to be here. You don't have to be here. I have to be here. So it's just kind of like this miserable thing now where it's like I'm already miserable and now something else to make me more miserable. It's always something new to make me more miserable is what it feels like. Anyway, back to what I was saying though, y'all. I'm hearing somebody's annoying voice. Anyway, back to what I was saying, y'all. So that's what it is. It's like this weird relationship with her where sometimes she's nice when I come around, she says good afternoon, and she has like this soft voice and it seems like a sweet, nice young person. And then the next minute it's like they're doing noise campaigns, like this bipolar thing. I'm like, what the fuck? Excuse my language again, y'all. And then they have the nerve to gaslight when I get this look of exasperation on my face whenever they pull up. You off rip started doing noise campaigns as soon as you start bringing this person in the house and you already have a contentious thing with me. Anyway, y'all, so even when she lost the baby, though, I didn't really talk to them. Typically, me of old would have definitely said my condolences and said words to them. This is weird. I just didn't say anything. But I definitely didn't celebrate. I wasn't happy about it. That's not the heart that I have. But I never said anything. Excuse me. So Sorry, y'all. There's somebody leaving the neighbor's house. Anyway, so then when that thing happened though with the baby, I remember they were on top of me then too with the noise campaign, just staring at me, analyzing me on the camera, trying to see what my reaction was going to be. Now today something else bad happened with them. So apparently while I'm out there getting tortured and harassed and abused, apparently they were out there and they got in a car accident. So somebody hit in the back of my brother's car, and the girlfriend was in the passenger seat and she wasn't wearing her seatbelt. And so it seems like she flew forward and kind of, I don't know, like whiplash. Thank God she didn't fly through the dash or something more serious, but an injury was had. And so my mom is explaining, her bones are soft because she just had a baby. So she had, I don't want to talk her business on the camera, y'all, but she lost the baby. And apparently when you're pregnant and stuff, your bones soften. I guess in preparation for delivery, because things have to stretch out. And I think there's something in your hips that stretches out and stuff when the baby's coming through. So your bones soften up. So my mom's explaining she thinks all of that is why things were worse, like more tender for her. So she's in the hospital now apparently, but that's what happened earlier. My mom came home with my dad and said, look, your dad's bringing your brother's car now into the yard. You'll see what happens. Somebody hit him from the back. He's fine, but the girl kind of flew forward, so she's in the hospital. I said, okay. No kind of reaction. I wasn't smiling like and laughing in celebration about what was happening to him. Nothing of the sort. So I come in the house and I'm just kind of chilling, and I was already dealing with them, abusing me, and they were just abusing me and flying by for thirsty and whatever they were doing when I was in the mirror and stuff. So I was too busy in the mirror actually just trying to show off what I look like. It seems like vanity, but it's like this day-to-day war with these people trying to tear me down and make me have a warped sense of self. So that's what I was doing, and then she pulled up and said that, and so I kind of like gave me a somber expression for a little bit, and then I just kind of went back to my day-to-day, especially once I heard he was okay and she's okay. She's just a little banged up. She's in the hospital. Anyway, I don't really know her like that. Like I said, he's only been with her for like 3 months, 4 months at this point, maybe at most 4 months. And, all this stuff has happened already. Pregnancy and stuff. This is the most that's ever happened. He'd been with these girls like for a year and change and all kinds of stuff, living in the house and stuff. And it's never been like this much activity. Like with this one girl, a lot of activity has happened in this short period of time. A lot has happened. Anyway, so nonetheless, so they're in the hospital. So when they left, my mom left and my dad left. I guess they went to the hospital or wherever they went. I think my dad went his own way, whatever's going on. I was in the house by myself. My sister went her own way. She, like I said, has some sort of something going on, event thing going on that she's participating in. So I'm here alone. And so I just remember I was laying on the bed. I had just eaten and drank, whatever. I was just laying on the bed and I said, wow. I just thought this in my head, y'all. Remember, my thoughts are being projected. I said, wow, finally a moment of peace in the house by myself. I thought that in my head. And I said, too bad the circumstances are so horrible. I thought that in my head. Literally like 2 seconds later. I'm not saying my mom like flew from wherever she was at purposely because I thought that. I think it was literally a coincidence. But literally like a minute after I thought that, my mom pulled up. Outside. So I remember kind of just peeping to see if the girlfriend and my brother were in the car. And then I just kind of like just rested my head on my hands. I didn't do anything. I didn't roll my eyes. I didn't do anything. I just rested my head on my hands. The plane starts flying by, the noise campaign plane. And then I heard the birds going chip, chip, with the crazy shit. Trying to create stuff. They just have a problem. All day long they're torturing me and bothering me. They have a problem with me. So anyway, they're doing unfair shit. So anyway, my mom now comes in. And she's outside, I guess, rummaging through my brother's car for whatever she's looking for. And so I'm going through my phone and I start getting this weird look on my face that happens sometimes when something serious is happening and everybody's staring at me and analyzing me. Like, this weird thing starts to happen with my face sometimes. It happens when I'm watching movies too, especially with white people when they're on top of me and doing whatever they're doing. I can't explain the face. There's this weird face that happens. There are several weird faces that happens when certain things are happening. And I can't explain it. It's just like I know I'm being analyzed, and so it's this weird thing that starts happening with my face. I can't explain it. It wasn't happening before. They were watching me before. Nothing. Even when she told me about the accident initially, it wasn't happening. It was when she pulled up and I put my head on my chin like this, my hand on my arms like this, and they started trying to do stuff in the background with the plane and all this stuff. I started getting awkward, so I started trying to look through stuff. Oh, I was putting my workout routine together. I was updating my workout routine. That's what I was doing when she pulled up. And so I had rested my head down briefly for a second, and I put my head back up. They start flying the plane by, and they start doing stuff, like this weird stuff with the birds, like chip, 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 chip. So anyway, I just continue what I'm doing, right? Like, oh God, I think my mom's home now. Right as I'm about to get to the part with her, she's home. Let me see if I could really quickly finish this up. So anyway, so she's outside now looking in his car, I guess, for something. And I'm fixing my workout routine, and I'm getting the weird face that I get sometimes. Okay, y'all, they're here now. So they're all home now. Like, my brother and my mom's home. So I have to finish this later, y'all. The main thing the video was about, y'all. I know, I'll finish it later. Anyways, y'all, back to finish the video. So I'm at work now, y'all. Anyway, so she's outside looking in his car for something. I guess something that she was trying to bring to him, because he was at the hospital with his girlfriend. And they're doing noise campaigns in the background simply because she pulled up and they saw me just put my head down on my arms for on my hands. I mean, for a brief second, I was laying in my bed, and my room is right next to the porch and the front yard and stuff. Like, right outside my window is the porch and the front yard, etc. So then I sit back up and I start like finishing updating my workout routine. And I start kind of getting like this awkward expression on my face, which happens all the time, y'all. When sensitizing things are happening, or I know they're analyzing me and studying me for a reaction and trying to look and see what my reaction is going to be, sometimes I can like actually feel, even though it's like this intangible thing, like I can actually feel their eyes on me all the time, especially in moments like that. And so like these facial expressions will happen, and then they'll utilize it like as some sort of ammo against me, try to use my reaction to them staring at me and analyzing me to anxiety, PTSD, and sensitization. They try to use that reaction against me. Like the other day, it happened with my nieces and nephews. Like, I was on the phone with my older sister. I don't really talk to her as much these days. She's tried several times to reach out and like mend or rectify the situation, but it's just like it's never gonna be the same if I'm on camera. That's just period. And I keep trying to explain that to them, and they're acting like they don't understand. Anyway, so because like the whole fake narrative, horrible narrative that was created from the text I sent that involves her children. So anyway, I basically raised my oldest niece, by the way, y'all. Like, the relationship was so different. This is another one of those relationships that's now completely different post-targeting and post-traumatic experiences that I've had over the last 6 years. It's so sad, honestly, especially when I look at old pictures. But anyway, nonetheless, so it's just, this kind of thing with our relationship. And so she was on the phone with me. This was one of the rare times where she and I were on the phone together. Of course, they're doing noises in the background and staring at me. Anyway, she starts going through, like, these old pictures that she had of the baby, like, my nephews, right? The nephews are younger. So she has 3 daughters now, actually, because she has a new baby now. She has 3 daughters and 2 sons. And the 2 oldest daughters are the oldest. Then her 2 sons are younger, and then the baby is a little girl. It's almost like the situation with us, where there was 5 of us, but the only difference is it's 2 older girls, 2 younger boys, and then a baby girl. With us, as I explained to you all a little while ago, 3 older girls, 2 baby boys. So it's just kind of like this weird toss-up with the youngest one. But anyway, so she's going through pictures of my nephews, and I'm getting this weird look on my face. I can feel it happen, and I can't help it. I just know they're staring at me, and I felt weird and awkward, and I just started getting this expression on my face. It's this weird thing that happens with my nose and my face. I feel it happen. I can't control it. It happens with white people, too. When I'm looking at white people on the screen, because they've sensitized me to that whole race and the offensive stuff I shared in my car in Florida over 4 years ago out of anger. They do noise campaigns in the background for that as well. Y'all, hold on. Give me a minute. Somebody's leaving. I'm at work. Y'all, it's literally the same day, but later in the day. Remember, I work the morning shift, even though it's technically, even though it's dark out, it's technically the morning shift. I work from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m. So now it's later on that same date. So it's still the 6th, y'all, but it's now 6:23 p.m. So it's hours later. Anyway, so I'm no longer at work. It was almost like theater, at the facility, where like a police officer came in that had a certain aesthetic. And then it was like some sort of theater, some mix-up in the facility where they couldn't get into the detention area. And it led to me not continuing on with the video. It successfully deterred me from finishing the video. So I'm here to finish now, y'all. Anyway, I start going off on a tangent again anyway in the last clip, where I was talking about a relevant tangent, but a tangent nonetheless. Just talking about these awkward facial expressions I get when it comes to sensitization and the cameras being on me. And then them trying to utilize these awkward reactions to PTSD trauma and being stared at them trying to utilize it as ammo or to try to like vindicate the false narrative. Anyway, y'all, so back to what was going on here at the house. So my mom came home. She starts looking through my brother's car. They immediately start doing noise campaigns. The plane flies by. The bird drones start going off outside. And I start getting this like weird look on my face, this awkward expression that happens with my face sometimes. So I could feel it happening. I couldn't do anything about it. So anyway, they immediately start doing noise campaigns on me. I was working on my workout routine and I was updating it. And there's a part in the workout routine where I'm talking about doing leg extensions. But before I do my leg extensions, I'm supposed to set up the area where I'm going to do my elevated split squats. So that way, when I'm done with the leg extensions, I can hop right into that workout, almost like a superset. So anyway, every time I would write the word setup, they would be making noises outside, right? Like with the birds and stuff. And I even think I heard like my mom doing noise campaigns a little bit too, because she's, I guess, looking at me on the phone and seeing my facial expression as well. So I remember I started getting really upset because remember there's this whole thing about them setting me up with these dudes before the targeting. Remember they admitted recently that prior to the targeting, there were bets going and they were truly trying to set me up due to what took place with the cyberstalking, cyberbullying guy over a decade ago. Y'all check out my recent videos if you're not familiar with what's going on. You can't start here. You're going to be completely lost if you try to start here. You need to watch all of my recent videos. One of the videos where, where I talk about this specifically is this video here. This says proof of gang stalking activity prior to my targeting. And you see the blue file cabinets for the thumbnail. Another place where I talked about it was this video, the last video that you see posted, the strategic utilization of ex relationships. And you see the thumbnail says bitter ex, which is relevant to this video because James is an ex and they tried to utilize him. They tried to utilize the bitter ex, the one that they recorded me having an encounter with over 4 years ago in my apartment. They even tried to utilize the Jamaican guy. He reached out, so it's like 3 exes that they've tried to use. It's just crazy, y'all. They've used guys I haven't been with, the guys that I only dated or talked to. I told you all about the guy that plays the saxophone. And that was over a decade ago. Him and I just talked. They've used all kinds of guys that have issues with me or, things didn't necessarily end in the best way. And they've utilized them in the targeting. This video you see on the screen, y'all, was one of the videos I had up for about a couple, maybe a day or two. And then I made it private. I think I'm going to do that with this video as well. So if you hear it, you hear it. If you don't, you don't. I'm just going to have it on my account for documentation purposes. But I believe I'm going to make this video private as well. I'll keep it up for a week or something. We'll see. But I believe it's going to be another thing like this last video where I make it private. You see the lock to the left of the thumbs up? That means it's private. Anyway, y'all, so there's a plethora of info on my channel talking about, this setup thing and what was going on in my life prior to me becoming a target in 2020. There was this ongoing thing here on island with a lot of the men on island due to something that happened with this guy that I talked to for a couple years, over a decade ago, y'all. Over a decade ago. Actually, this situation with the man from the gym closely resembles that situation. But what's weird to me is I didn't even talk to this person. This man from the gym, I don't even know him like that. It's just the weirdest thing ever. Anyways, y'all. So when they started making noise for setup simply because I was having an awkward look on my face, I started getting pissed. Especially with all the trauma I've been through and I didn't deserve it. So I started thinking some nasty thoughts in my head about how horrible it is what they're doing and how, that's why God does the things that he does, because I can't believe that they would actually be making noise for setup simply because I have an awkward expression on my face. When that same brother has actually blatantly laughed loudly and they heard it when I had an injury that I wasn't sure what was going on with me and other things, wicked mean things he's done. And they're all supporting it full throttle in the background. But when it's me just having an awkward look on my face, you're making noise for setup and stuff. It's just this unfair thing like I was talking about with them. So it's I started getting pissed and venting in my head or whatever, what I do sometimes where I start thinking stuff in my head. And of course my thoughts are being projected and they can hear my thoughts in real time because of the neural monitoring. So after that happens, my mom comes by the door and she starts quarreling with me about something with buffaloes and clothes that she had stored in my room. That she told me that she was going to take out of my room so that my fridge could be moved into my room. I have a fridge in the living room, y'all, that they're going to move back here for me. So I went ahead and I removed some of the clothes from one of the boxes for her and put it in the buffalo she had set outside the door. She starts quarreling with me for that. But I didn't tell you to do that. I'm going to go through that stuff. They're not quarreling with me about that. So I know she's just nagging because of whatever I was thinking in my head, and she's upset. So no, she nags about that. Then she leaves. When she leaves, she literally calls me like 2 seconds after driving off and starts quarreling with me about the trunk and about the zip ties and what I was talking about earlier in the video, y'all. And so I'm explaining to her what happened with the trunk. I'm like, I knew you saw it on camera anyway, but I'm explaining to her what happened. She's doing this thing like she's not listening to me, and she's screaming and talking over me, and yeah, but the bumper looks like it was hit. And I'm like, it wasn't hit. I'm like, they're all watching me on camera. If I hit the car, they would have all known and seen it. But anyway, it was just like obviously like just trying to like do this tactic to take the keys because she was upset about me venting about whatever that just took place. So then she said, you know, I'm taking the keys, whatever. I'm taking, when I get back, I'm da-da-da. So I remember just getting upset, and that's what made me make the video, y'all. So the video's done finally. Oh my God, it was so long. I went off on like several tangents, relevant ones. I don't even know if I'm going to make this video private or not because I like what I said in it and I like what I talked about. But I've talked about this stuff in so many other videos, y'all, in prior videos, and they still push the white people thing and pretend like that's what this is about. Even though it's blatantly clear that that's not what it's about. And they even blatantly are... Y'all, I don't mean to stutter and stammer all over my words. I'm just so worked up over the situation. They're very blatant about the fact that that's not what this is about. But they still... Look, they're even making the noise campaigns now. But they still keep perpetuating that sensitization and acting like that's what it's about. Anyways, y'all. So that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. I'll talk to you in the next one. That's it, y'all. I just had to put this video together for documentation purposes. More gang stalk and BS. Talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Oh, by the way, I'll probably add that to the beginning of the video. There's something, not a correction, something I want to expound on for like 2 seconds. Just a comment I made about the lady that goes to my church. I'm going to add that to the beginning of the video. So if you're at this point in the video now, you already heard what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. All right, y'all. Peace out.